And that's the kind of football that I like. That's the kind of football that I like.
Well, that was a tight game. West Perth in the end winning by 3 points. Jason Heatley kicked 5 goals for Subiaco that day. He was in nowhere near that form last night. Stan Alves once again disappointed with Jason Heatley, although St Kilda did go down by a fair margin, 15 points in the end, and well done to the Fremantle Dockers. Well, Peel Thunder are looking for their first win of 1998 here at League headquarters. They're taking on the Subiaco Lions. Both teams are out on the ground, joined in the commentary position by Gary Buckenara and also Wally Foreman. And an influential man there. We're seeing Peel in their away strip today, big Ilya Grigic. And he's going to be a very key player for Peel today, Gary, because you'd imagine for them to draw level or indeed be competitive with Subiaco, they need to get players like Lovell, Bolton, Marr, Anderson, first use of the football in the middle. And Grigic is going to be a vital cog in Peel's quest for their first win of 1998.
Yes, Glen, well, we saw last week Peel very competitive for 3 quarters, and those players were players that sort of kept them in that contest, and they're going to have to be the players that stand up today if Peel have got a chance.
Here's the ladder going into round 9. You can see East Fremantle is the team having the bye this week. They're the only side of the 9 that haven't had a bye. Subiaco, an opportunity to consolidate a place in the top 4. It's interesting, look at the percentage of the top 2 teams, West Perth and East Fremantle in the 160s. And Peel, well, they were good last week, Wally Foreman. They really did push Claremont, had their chances in the final quarter to come away with the premiership points. And it's a big test for them today to try and back up, in particular, now that they're on the road.
Yes, it's trying to develop some consistency. It's not unlike Fremantle at a higher level, is it? Trying to get some consistency from these younger players is probably the big task confronting Jeff Miles. Much better performance last week. Grigic played his role, Lovell did well, Anderson did well, and young Bolton was terrific. And if those viewers that are watching today didn't watch our telecast last week, he's a player to have a look at. Number 1, he'll probably start off a wing. Or half forward, half back. He's a very, very talented player, and he's worth having a look at. But if we go on the record between these 2 teams, Glen, then Peel have got a fair bit of work in front of them. There's another talented young fella, Kelvin Marr, who's down from the Northern Territory, and by gee is he quick, and he also played quite well last week. But I think their highest score against Subiaco is 47 points. There's a total of 47 points. They've been beaten by over 100 points in each of the 3 games, and Subi's best score is a total of 182. So there's been a big discrepancy between the 2 teams on the scoreboard previously. But Peel showed a bit last week, and if they can get into the game early, Gary, I think that's the crux. They've then got something to play for as we have a look, or we're about to have a look at the Subiaco team. That will come up in a moment. But they must give themselves a chance early, Peel, to have a chance.
Yes, there's no doubt about that. They've got to be on the ball, get the confidence level of the team, and look at that Subiaco lineup. It's a pretty good lineup there. Good experience on all lines. Miller in the back line, a very experienced player. Simpson, a rookie player with the West Coast Eagles. Shields has been around for a while. Yes, a very strong lineup. Obviously, Todd Ridley, a very important player down forward. He's been kicking a lot of goals for them. They'll be important. Here we go, looking at Peel side, and we'll look at the ruck. Grigic, Lovell, and Grouse. Grouse was quite a good player for them last week. Marr very quick on the wing, so on the open space is good. Anderson is very important. Notice Retzlaff there on the interchange player, a very experienced player also. So if he can see some action, Simister, he's an experienced player, centre half back, and Gilbert down there. So there's a sprinkling of good experience there. They just need to put it all together and have contributors on all of those lines, and they could be competitive today.
Magnificent day for football. Rod Willett is our boundary rider. Unfortunately, Rod, you're stuck in the shade at the moment.
Yes, I am indeed, Glenn, but that doesn't mean that it's not a perfect day for football down here at Subiaco Oval today. And the big question on everyone's lips at the moment is, can Peel be competitive for 2 weeks in a row? They were good last week down on their home pitch, but today they're at Subiaco Oval. And I think they're going to have their a task ahead of them to beat Subi today. Subi last week against South Fremantle, probably a disappointing loss. They were competitive for a quarter before they lost Jared Hocking at centre half forward, and that's where they need to find someone to fill that position today for Subi. But I think they're going to be too strong for Peel, and I just hope that Peel can be competitive.
Rod Willett keeping us up to date from the boundary. There's Ilya Grigic. It's unfortunate, Gary, that Cameron Jackson was injured last week. It would have been interesting to see him play again today. He impressed us with his mobility, a big man on the rookie list with the Fremantle Dockers, having played NBL basketball with the Perth Wildcats. It's a shame we don't get to see him again this afternoon.
Yes, he showed some very promising signs, very athletic as we mentioned in that telecast, and has some good skill level also. So a player that has played basketball and converting to Australian rules, and he looks as though in the future he could be a good prospect.
This is one of the innovations in football in recent seasons. The teams going into tight huddles at centre half forward at respective ends. Subiaco breaking. There's Andy Lovell, number 38. A lot expected of him. He saw a lot of the football last week. And number 1, Darren Bolton, as Wally Foreman mentioned, will be a very influential player. And Peter Bird, formerly with Fitzroy, now I think in his 3rd season with the Lions. So plenty of talent on display here at League headquarters, as Peel getting the rev up by Phil Gilbert, who will be a special guest at half-time in the footy this afternoon. Phil Gilbert, the captain of Peel Thunder, and also working full-time in their marketing area down at Rushton Park. And we'll also be hearing from Mick Malone, who played in the 1973 Premiership and also played for Australia at Test cricket level.
It's an interesting time in Andy Lovell's career, isn't it, Gary? You know, I was about to say last week at one point that he and Chris Lewis were probably at the crossroads, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. Lewis has been brought back probably for special purposes today at Cardinia Park, and from what I saw was doing pretty well in that situation, looking for some experience in those conditions. But Andy Lovell, a key member of the Eagles team over the last 12 months, but now finding it difficult to get in, and perhaps the job is going to be in front of him with those younger midfielders that they're bringing through.
Well, that's obviously the future of the club, and Andy Lovell now has to really produce something at this level on a regular basis just to keep his name up in the lights. But I think you're right, the crossroads for Andy Lovell, and you know, well, he's been a good player not only for Melbourne, he's been a good contributor for the West Coast Eagles. But yes, another challenge, another chapter for him to go back at this level and really try and put in for Peel.
The umpires this afternoon for this round 9 clash. Umpires Dwayne Cole, Peter Repper and Jeff Petrie. Peel kicking towards the right of screen, towards the 3-tier grandstand in the opening quarter. Fife was a prominent forward. He was lively on debut last week, and he's down in the goal square at the moment for the Peel Thunder.
Playing on a 17-year-old today, so he'll welcome that respite.
And as Wally Foreman mentioned, 118 points was the average winning margin in the 3 encounters to Subiaco last season. A crooked bounce. Green wins it down opposed to Irving. Socket forward by Godden for the Lions. Coming through off the half-back line. Unable to gather was Anderson for Peel. Now they follow up through Simister. A high, quick right foot drop punt towards half-forward. Well done in the air. Clever mark taken by Gorsey, the former Tiger. Hand passes infield to Miller, a veteran now at this level of football. That's not the best of kicks into the centre square. Green waited for it to bounce. Hand pass downfield ends up with Bazo. Bazo a left footer, and there is Fife. He's got it too far out to score though. 60 metres out at left half forward. Congested inside the attacking 50. He goes very wide and into the air. The chest mark taken by Ilya Grigic. They're very confusing. Peely wore number 49 last week, Grigic. He's wearing number 50 today. Anderson wore number 36 at Rushton Park.
Shown in the book as 49 too, Glen.
Yes, and Anderson's wearing 27 today. They seem to swap numbers with monotonous regularity down at Mandurah. From 52 metres, the opening score of the game. Not quite. Big fly by Truan. And off hands in the end, it's gone through for a behind.
Going to be a very interesting duel out here on the northern wing between Hill and Des Headland. We'll keep an eye on that. Number 10 for Peel and number 29 for Subiaco. Headland was a star. Oh, it's a good kick in as it turned out. Miller takes the mark. I thought he was going to drop it. He gets it to Gorsey. Gorsey across half back towards the outer side of the ground. And this is Headland, a star in the Australian youth team that went to Ireland recently. Two very young players as Gorsey unloads, gets the ball over the centre line. Big pack up. Opportunity for Peel to take it away. Retzlaff, it's not Retzlaff, but the umpire's whistle's gone anyway. And it's going to be a free kick to Peel to be taken just behind the centre line. Boyle is the recipient of the kick. As he looks down towards half forward, the target down there, Carmody, but the ball coming off hands, and there will be a throw-in. Westar just handing the ball back to the boundary umpire. Throw in between left centre wing and left half forward for Subiaco. Peel 1 point, and Subiaco yet to score, and it's Peel who had the ball forward. No one able to pick it up cleanly. An opportunity now for Godden for Subiaco, and he gets it down towards half forward. Gilbert up, going back with the flight of the ball, but went without it. Kicked forward very quickly for Subiaco by Richardson, and Ridley takes the mark 25 metres out from goal and on about a 30-degree angle. So well and truly within kicking distance, and for a player of Todd Ridley's ability and experience, he should have little difficulty converting. Simpson medalist with Claremont in their last premiership win, 1996, kicked 7 goals in that grand final on this ground. Lean time last week, but he started better today. There's the first goal of the game to the Lions. They're 1 goal straight, and Peel are 1 point.
Well, that's a good start, obviously, for Todd Ridley. He's a danger player for Peel down there. Certainly to get one early is a dangerous sign for them. But he had a lot of space. You'll probably notice in the replay here, the ball comes from Richardson. Look how much space Ridley has. Really bad marking there. You just, a player of Ridley's calibre, you've just got to be shoulder to shoulder with him. Don't pre-guess where the ball's going to go, as the Peel defender obviously did there. And that Peel defender is Aiden Bussell, and really that's where he's got to play him, shoulder to shoulder, no doubt about that.
No need to be shy. Nothing wrong with having a late lunch.
It's just the size of it that was worrying her.
5 points to lead to Subiaco. A very crooked bounce. It's one down by Simpson actually for Subi. They go forward. O'Connor the mark. Very open forward line. Plenty of room for Ridley to lead into. This ball's going to pitch well in front of him. Gets it well on the bounce. Hand passes wide of Headland. Simister knocks it back in the Peel direction, but it's gathered by Bird. He kicks them inside 50 to Lions. The numbers back there for Peel. Lovell is there, right up against the boundary line, and his kick's gone the wrong side thereof. And out of bounds on the full.
That young lady on the screen was Nathan O'Connor's fiance or girlfriend or wife. I'm not sure if they've actually tied the knot yet, but
one of the above.
One of the above.
Multiple choice. Headland now kicks towards left full forward. Ridley does the roving. His hand pass away to a nest of Peel Thunder players. Gathered up down there by Agnew. Kicks back to the members' wing, but the mark taken by Godden. He plays on. Kicks towards centre half forward. Subiaco's disposal at the moment to attack is not the best. O'Connor comes out. Hats it off the ball by Bolton, who arrogantly showed it to an opponent in Hampson. Then goes short to Truan. He cuts inside. Could have given the hand pass off to Anderson. Now kicks inside 50. Subiaco, though, back resolute in defence. And the mark taken back there by Stengline.
Stengline going wide, and the free kick is going against Bolton, who took the mark for a push in the back. So it's a Subiaco kick taken by Hampson. He finds Godden very quickly. The ball still on Subiaco's half-back line. He in turn comes infield, where Hardingham was run down, but got the kick away, went straight through McDonald's hands. Hand pass not particularly good, but Subiaco maintained control of the ball. Headland hand pass to a teammate who was in all sorts of strife. Shearer, kick well smothered by Green. Green not able to get the ball away effectively. They're under some pressure in their the Peel Thunder, but eventually it finishes up with Bolton. It's the young fellow we were talking about pre-game. He goes in the direction of Fife. With him was Stengline. Opportunity at the back of the pack for Gorsey, with him Davey. And between the pair of them, they force it out of play on the 50-metre line for a boundary throw-in. Peel in attack. Subiaco are 1 goal straight, and Peel are 1 behind.
Tony Godden started the game very well,
Yes, he's had numerous possessions early. Nathan O'Connor, incidentally, is playing his 100th game for Subiaco today. As Subiaco run the ball out of defence through Glen Davies. He kicks the length of the centre square looking for O'Connor. He wasn't able to pull it in. Opportunity now for Peel. Simister backhanding the ball, but made life pretty tough for his teammates in there. And Peel having to be content with a bounce down at centre half back. It's a day for eating, isn't it?
Food all round. A magnificent day for football too. Going up Green, lovely down. A clearing kick now onto the outer side by Davey for Peel. Leading the race there. And gathering is Bester. Has a little bit of time and space. That's not a good disposal. Straight into the arms of Davey. That's Michael Davey. Mick's not playing today.
I think we'll change those notes. We'll call the other one Jack.
Peel now inside 50. Caught behind on that occasion was Grigic, but he wrestles well with Daniel Parker, squirts a kick out. This will be a goal. Grouse gets it, and they get there first. So well done, Peel. In fact, they take the lead at the 7.5-minute mark.
Well, good play by Peel and Grigic in particular, but Truan got the ball forward. He was quite lively until he got injured last week. Good contest here by Ilya Grigic. He kept going, 1 effort, 2 efforts, 3 efforts, then just got a toe poke forward, get the ball going, and Grouse, who was running onto the ball, was able to then clean things up as we see. Matthew Burton, the hero of last night, a tremendous game by Matthew Burton. What a performance he put in for the Fremantle Dockers, and no doubt he'll be here hoping that his Westar rules team Subiaco can get across the line. But it's certainly a good start, not only by Subiaco but for Peel. Pretty lively start by both sides.
Well, they're taking off where they left off last week, Peel, 1-1 to a goal. They've certainly had their share of the ball, as both Glen and Gary have said, as Irving prepares to do battle, this time with Grigic, and Irving does best, but it's taken by Bolton, who appeared to be taken high, and he will get the free kick in the centre circle. And the man on the mark is almost in the centre circle. Players breaking for him, including Boyle. He had a player around the corner, but that was ambitious. Godden realised what he was going to do. Boyle had him cornered. He had sufficient pace to get around him. Subiaco can go forward now. Ridley's the target. It might not get to him. It won't. Bustle with strength and conviction. Gee, met O'Connor pretty solidly. Another opportunity for Bird to send Subiaco to attack. Richardson leading in the race for the ball, but the umpire's whistle went, and I think it's a relayed kick. I didn't see what happened off the ball, but it'll go to Ridley.
I think Aidan Bustle has cleaned up Phil Gilbert.
Yeah, I think he probably did more damage to his teammate than he did to his opponent, but that's probably what, or it seems to be that was what the kick was for. Some sort of a charge, perhaps. But we'll no doubt see a lot worse assaults than that during the course of this game. So Ridley from 25 metres out for his second. He's missed. In fact, it was a bad miss. It wasn't even close. So Subiaco tied up. It's 1 goal, 1 apiece, and we've played nearly 10 minutes in the first quarter.
Yes, they've really got to start to pay attention to Tony Godden. He's a player that, with his confidence up, can really cut you apart in the midfield. And he's getting a lot of touches early in this game. And I think Jeff Miles has got to make a move very quickly and try and reduce his influence by getting a player to run with him.
Bustle, a powerful drop punt to the outer half-back flank. Grigic sport from behind. Ball comes wide of the pack. Trying to gather, and successfully in the end, Godden. Quick standing start inside 50. Ridley sport from behind by Bustle, who does well at ground level. Then runs into his own teammate, Bolton. The ball loose. It's tapped along the ground by Bolton to Anderson. And then in the end, hacked forward by Subiaco, but only a behind. So they move to 1-2-8 and they break the deadlock, the Lions. But I'm not too sure that Peter Thorne would be overly impressed with their standard of play at the moment. Really have lacked direction when they've come inside their attacking 50. Gilbert casually goes short, went through the hands of Davies at the back. He's playing for the free kick. Hampson right on his collar. Ham passes off to Bolton, crosses the defensive 50, a fresh air punch at that one. You'll probably say he's trying to get it to his own advantage. He's done so. He goes to half forward. Unable to mark there was Lovell. A lot of players around the ball. Subiaco managed to get it across in the end towards Burton, who goes short. Well picked up by Headland. Just forward of left half back. That's good vision. Subiaco player, well, his vision was impaired, McDonald, by the sun. This allows Gilbert in. What should have been an easy move inside 50 has been repelled, but Gilbert dangerously across the goal mouth. Bird dropped the mark, recovered well, got the hand pass away to Shearer, and the former Demon lobs it right onto the goal line, where it's been marked by Ridley. And surely Todd Ridley will kick his second goal here.
What a terrible kick by an experienced player, and Phil Gilbert there. Gee, he had other options there. Rather than swinging the ball right across into a dangerous position where your teammate was outnumbered, you really should have wheeled around the other side onto that left foot and gone closer to that boundary side on the other side.
Todd Ridley looking for goal number 23. It won't come much easier than that. 23 goals for the season. He has both of his teams this afternoon, and the Lions are double the Thunder. It's 14 playing 7.
Yes, we'll get this one on replay here. You'll see Phil Gilbert does well initially. Should have gone around the other way, but came back inboard to a dangerous... Look where he's kicked it to a dangerous situation where he's... players were outnumbered. Subiaco were then just able to keep it off and get the ball to the top of the square, where the Peel player was caught out. Bustle was caught out because he expected Gilbert to go the other way. So that was a bad mistake by the skipper, Phil Gilbert.
Irving and Grigich prepare to do battle again. I'm just looking for Daniel Parker. I haven't been able to find him out there so far for Subiaco. The ball comes to ground. Opportunity for Davies to take the ball away. I'm not sure that he did have an opportunity. That's unfair. He's down in the back pocket on Shane Green at the moment. Hiding in the shadow of the stands, both of them, staying cool. Because it is quite a warm day in Perth. Beautiful day, hardly a cloud in the sky. As Grigich goes up high and wins the ball down this time. Hurried kick forward by Carmody. Opportunity at half forward. Touch ball was the call. Play on. It's a throw. And Lovell has been penalised. So it'll be a free kick to Gorsey. I'm not sure that he came across the top of the mark, but he finds Hampson loose on centre wing. He's called a play on by Davies, who's running with him. Bolton coming in to try and smother. Down in the Ridley direction. One out once again with Bustle. And with superior judgment, Todd Ridley takes the mark. Well, to Bustle's credit, he tried to get front position on that occasion, but in doing that, he went under the ball.
Well, they've just kept an open forward line, Subiaco. He's the only player inside 50, so they pushed everyone up the field. They just want to get the ball quickly. In that occasion, they were able to get the ball to Ridley, one out. And if they can keep doing that, it might be real danger signs for Peel.
3 to Ridley, 3 to Subi, and problems for Peel. One of the things that I notice about Peel on this ground is that it looks big for them, Gary. Probably younger players, they have got those experienced AFL players in here, but they seem to be getting caught out a lot on this. It's a much bigger ground than Rushton Park.
On the bigger grounds, I think what's happening to Peel is the classier midfielders are starting to tell on them. The players like Godden, these types of players that Subiaco have got in the midfield. Hampson's getting a lot of space, also Bird's there, McDonald out on the wing, and Headland's playing quite well, but they're finding space and they're creating the loose man, and they're just going to feed the ball into the forward line time and time again.
Irving clean possession, then lost it. Socket away by Hampson towards the members' wing. Bad bounce for Maher. He's backed up by Truant, who knocks it into a sea of legs. Witherow gets it across the face of the ground. The ball bouncing in open territory. Bester gathers again on his own. Kicks wide, looking for Richardson. Bit of a mismatch there. Boyle a lot bigger, and he does pretty well. Gee, that was a rather interesting knockdown ground. They keep it alive, Subiaco. They work the ball in towards Gorsey, who's been very prominent early. And Matt Gorsey crosses the centre line, kicks up towards the attacking 50. Anderson in front. Gee, Anderson got hands on that, but the umpire paying the mark at the back to Shearer. Certainly, you'll see in front that he got hands on it, Anderson, but the umpire saying that Shearer controlled the ball. Now, Craig Shearer, who started the season last year in a blaze of glory with Perth at full forward. He was a reliable man up forward, and then played a bit of football at full back last year for the Demons. Now he's with the Lions. That is a very powerful kick. Won't quite have the carry on the goal line. It has been kicked through by Ridley. Well, Todd Ridley kicked 1 goal for South Fremantle last week, for Subi, I should say, in their loss by 44 points to South Fremantle. He's already kicked 4 goals, 1, and we've only played 16 minutes here in the opening quarter.
Some real danger signs for Peel early in this game. Subiaco obviously like playing, but good reflexes by Ridley. Just went up in the marking contest, but was able to have presence of mind. The ball just spilled to the back, and he was able to get his foot to the ball. But really, it's all stemming from the midfield dominance that Subiaco have got at the moment. I'd just like to see a lot more accountability by the Peel players in that particular midfield area.
Bolton trying to crash through the pack, gets the hand pass to Grigich. Bazo, he loses control of it. Here goes Subiaco again. Hardingham to Hampson to O'Connor out wide. They're linking well together, even though it wasn't a good hand pass. They kick in the direction of Ridley, and why wouldn't you, as the ball is swept towards the boundary line by Witherow. Peel keep it in. O'Connor diving at the ball. Wasn't able to mark it. Chance for Boyle. He's got Bazo loose on centre wing, and Bazo can run. Take a bit of pressure off and set something up here. Tries to draw the play, gets it to Grouse, who in turn was run down. Hand pass infield to Bazo. 2 fists it back towards Grouse, but now they've lost control of the ball, Peel, and they're really having to work Witherow, a Lovell it was, close to the boundary line. It's still in play. Now it goes out. Grouse bulldozing the ball out of play, and there'll be a throw in at left centre wing for the Thunder.
Is it too early to start talking about Bernie Naylor's 23-goal record?
I don't know. It's the sort of day that if I was Todd Ridley, I'd just duck out to a lotto shop at half-time. That ball just fell at his feet. Everything falling into place for him at the moment. As Peel try and get the ball forward, and the umpire's going to help them here as Davies is awarded a free kick. Michael Davies gets it towards half forward. Target was Bolton. They set him a fair task. He's not particularly tall, very skillful. Bazo has it and can kick, but doesn't kick very effectively that time. Gorsey again. Hand pass wasn't a good one. He's put a teammate under pressure. Player got the ball away but was injured in the tackle. Hampson out wide. Opportunity now for McDonald from right centre wing. Kicks in towards centre half forward. O'Connor outnumbered 2-1. Chance at the back of the pack for Simister. He's got a player in Retzlaff loose. They need a good kick. I'm not sure that carried. The umpire said it did, but he didn't have anything up ahead of the play, and so he had to stop. Now Bazo in towards the centre circle and Davies diagonally across the ground, but they've retained possession as the mark is taken by Barnden. High towards centre half forward. They've called for a stretcher for that player Davies. I'm not sure what happened there. I think it's his ankle, maybe a knee. I won't guess after last night and watching Stuart Lowe. We made about 8 diagnoses. No, he's saying he doesn't want the stretcher. It appeared to be a rather innocent tackle. The result, he was the recipient of a poor hand pass, and I think it might be his ankle. Let's have another look at it.
It'll be his ankle in the tackle. The weight, yeah, twisting of the ankle, whole body weight onto it. So yeah, he'll have a nasty little ankle injury there.
In fact, he's talking now about staying on the ground, but he's been talked out of that. Hard enough to get into this Subiaco team. He's reluctant to relinquish his position in it.
Now, the stretcher's come on, which means he has to be off for 20 minutes. Even if he walks off now, the laws are that once the stretcher has made it inside the playing arena, it only needs to be brought on by one pace by one of the trainers. Now, he's being laid down, so even if he does make a very quick recovery, he won't be able to come on for the next 20 minutes.
Well, the fact that I think the umpires have stopped play and signalled a stretcher, that he has to go off on the stretcher. They can't change their mind once they stop the play.
So Glen Davies coming off with what appears to be an ankle injury, but certainly an injury to some part of his leg. He's going to be replaced by Anthony Shields.
And Rod Willett has an injury report down on the boundary.
Yes, thanks, Glenn. You've called it right up there, guys. In a tackle there, he got crushed. His ankle got crushed, and the stretcher went on the ground, so he had to come off. But we might even see him get taped up and see him later on.
Here it is again. Trying to get the hand pass back to Gorsey, I think it was, who gave it to him in the first place. Put him under a bit of pressure.
Now, one of the field umpires is streaming across here towards the player interchange area.
Now, what are they saying? They have to take him off the ground. He can't sit there.
Well, this seems...
He has to actually go off the ground completely.
Well...
Does that mean he has to go into the change rooms? This is ridiculous if that's a rule.
Well, that is becoming a bit farcical, isn't it?
Well, all they've got to do is take him down the race, obviously, and then back out again. Rod Willett's a little bit amused on the boundary.
I actually think it's even farcical that the stretcher had to actually go out there and he had to be put on it. I understand that if they've called for the stretcher, he must stay off for 20 minutes. Yeah. I think that's fair. But if it turns out that the injury is not as serious as was first thought, surely they don't have to go through the charade of taking the stretcher out there, putting him on the stretcher, carrying him down the race.
Yeah.
You know, this really is bureaucracy running amok in a football match.
Now, and play, interestingly, has to halt until this stretcher has disappeared down the race. So Davies probably will be back on sometime today. Keep an eye on this. They might just do a quick Yui here. No, they're going to go right the way down into the rooms.
They'll back out.
And now we've got some action again.
3-point team.
Where are we? Now, we're at league headquarters and the scoreboard shows a 19-point lead to Subiaco, and we're going to have another bounce more than likely. It'll be interesting. I think we'll see Glen Davies, a former East Fremantle player, come back into action here. The bounce, Green and Irving. Pulled off his kick was Godden, hacked out of the air by Green. There's Daniel Parker, the Fremantle docker, knocks the ball out, trying to get it to the agency of his teammate in Stengline. In the end, the ball's gone over the line. Parker didn't initially like the treatment he received from Truin. The ball to be thrown in. Both ruckmen were shielding their eyes from the sun. In they come into the shade. Daniel Parker can't gather. Bolton goes through, gets a hand pass away to Davey. He sets it up towards the top of the goal square. Miller tried to fist it away. It comes back to him on the rebound. Truan goes in. Gorsey can't control it. Bazo is there. Gorsey on all fours. Taps it out towards Shields. Subiaco making heavy weather. And best to tackle but not in possession. Has got the free kick just in advance of full back.
Aaron Bester clearing the ball towards the outer side of the ground. Peel actually have the numbers out there, but Hampson did very well. He took an important mark in the context of that little passage of play. Had he not been able to hold the ball, Peel may well have been able to go back directly on goal. Gorsey's short kick is a good one, and he's found Hardingham. Hardingham is just behind right centre wing. At the moment, Subiaco are 4-2, Peel are 1-1. The margin is 19 points in favour of the Lions as the ball is shovelled over the boundary line at right half forward.
Carmody and Ma, who both started on the ground, now on the bench.
Ma had a bit of trouble getting into the game early. Headland did very well in the first 5 or 6 minutes on that wing. He's lightning fast, Kelvin Ma, as Shields hooks the ball forward for Subiaco, down in the direction of Ridley. He did well to keep the ball in front of himself, gets the hand pass to O'Connor, who lost control of it in the tackle. Hurried kick forward from Hardingham as across the face of goal and through for the minor score. So Subiaco moved to 4-3, Peel are 1-1, 23 and a half minutes played, but it's going to be a long quarter as a result of that injury to Glen Davies.
Now waiting for Stuart Anderson to bring it back into play. He goes short looking for Bazo, who couldn't complete the mark. Peel now under pressure inside their defensive 50. Retzlaff a cool head in the situation. Left footer Bolton flew, almost a clever mark. Great persistence though at ground level. Threads the hand pass through to Simister. Their best player in their inaugural year last year for Peel. Parker attacks it well. Hand passes to centre half back. Irving has time and space. He spies a player wide out. That's McDonald. Couldn't take the mark. Mcguinness harassing him, but he concedes both the ball and front position. The hand pass by McDonald. Gathered up there by Subiaco. The quick kick forward. Ridley couldn't take the mark on the end of the Headland pass. An opportunity for Gilbert. Hand pass back looking for Barden, who propped and waited. Coming in Hardingham, and from 20 metres kicks Subiaco's fifth. And becomes only their second goal scorer, with Ridley bagging the first 4.
Yes, well, Wayne Barden makes the cardinal error waiting for the ball to come to you. In that situation as the backman, he really had to attack the ball hard. You'll probably catch the replay here. Good effort by Barden to destroy the hands. There's the chain of handballs, and here it is here. Watch him stand still, wait for the ball, and that's a cardinal error. You've got to attack the football. You've got to put your body to be first to the ball. Don't wait for the ball to come to you, and that's what Barden did on that occasion. And Hardingham was quick enough. He was on the move, and that's all the dangerous thing. If you're standing flat-footed, a player on the move can beat you all the time, and that's what Hardingham did then.
Subiaco by 26 points. As it's socked forward by Shields. Opportunity for Boyle, he loses control. Anderson hurriedly towards half forward. Davey beaten by the bounce. Gorsey couldn't shrug the tackle but gets the hand pass to Shields. He was cornered, hemmed in, but finds O'Connor at right centre wing. O'Connor across towards the centre of the ground looking for Hampson. He's got support at the back. Headland has it. Tried to take a couple on. Gorsey now. Gorsey back towards the 50-metre line. Shields is there with him. Shearer. The hand pass infield to McDonald. This could be another one. Not a good effort. Could probably have done better from there. About 40 metres out. Not under a lot of pressure.
Gee, Des Headland looks a good player, doesn't he?
He does. Very good body work, the way he swerves through packs and around players.
I know there's already a couple of recruiting guys here that I was talking to earlier, and they are here to have a look at him.
5-4 to 1-1 is the score. Kick in well outside 50, but Subiaco will come at it again. Shields, who came on to replace Davies, but Peel in front. Retzlaff misses what he should have taken. Richardson pulled off his kick and hurriedly cleared away by Barden, and the ball rolls out of play just outside Subiaco's 50-metre line. Des Headland, who is still only 17 years of age. He's number 29 for Subiaco. A very talented player. As the ball is taken by Mcguinness. Quick hand pass to Gilbert. who hooks the ball close to the line. In fact, he's put it out of play on the full, and Matt Gorsey will get another kick
when he gets the ball back from over the fence.
You've got to go and fox it yourself today.
Glen Davies has just run along the boundary line below us, so he's had the ankles strapped, and as we thought, we'll probably see him back in action. Now Matt Gorsey has retrieved the leather, goes up towards the lead of Ridley. It falls short. O'Connor is there, but fisted away from behind by Peel. On all fours, Davey gets it out quickly towards Boyle. An opportunity for Peel to go round the outer wing. The target Grouse, but the other number 5, Westar, stood his ground and took a good mark. Aaron Bester, there's Glen Davies, just feeling that right ankle. I think we'll see him back though. Bester towards the attacking 50. Irving in front, strong mark. Gilbert did his best to try and spoil, but he's a man mountain, Dean Irving. He goes wide into the pocket, not the best of options. Anderson couldn't take the one-handed mark, but does well when the ball hits the deck. Comes right across the goal mouth. Headlam gets a hand on the pass that was intended for Retzlaff, and the ball has gone over the line.
Headlam's got his third opponent for the quarter at the moment. Retzlaff's gone onto him. He started on Marr, and then Bolton had a short spell on him, and now Retzlaff.
Now the ball thrown in. Retzlaff with it on the defensive 50, back across the body, but the mark to Richardson, a hand pass to Hampson. They're going the wrong way, but McDonald's got time, and he goes into the centre square, and Miller takes the mark. He's got Gorsey breaking, other players breaking further afield. One of them is Hardingham, takes the mark, plays on by hand to Gorsey. A hand pass for Bird to run onto, but coming the other way is the big man in Grigich. Good agility, one bounce. The Eagle player goes to the outer half-back flank. Simpson couldn't mark. Opportunity for Hardingham, who's been prominent in the last couple of minutes. Dishes off to Gorsey from 55 metres. A powerful kick. Subiaco almost take the mark. They'll recover. And it's touched. Went through the right area of, as far as the goals were concerned, but Shearer was touched off the boot and a behind. So Subiaco could be further in front. That was a very good attempt to mark by Shields. A good piece of umpiring too to pick that up, the field umpire. 5-5, Subiaco, Peel 1-1.
One of the problems for Peel at the moment is their midfield is really just undisciplined. They're just not being accountable for their players. As we see Ben Allen, an interested spectator down here, watching obviously some of the Fremantle players going through their paces. But yeah, Peel's players in the midfield, the experienced ones, they're just not accountable. Subiaco controlling the game. That's when you've got to get closer to your opponent.
Bazo has it on the end of a Lovell kick. Barndon wants it. He's right on the boundary line. Now Bazo comes right up to Godden and then miskicks badly. Headland misses what he should have taken. It's knocked away from Miller by Truan. Shields not able to pick it up. It's eventually claimed by Anderson. Now here's an opportunity for Peel. The ball is carried Fife, Green at the back. And it's going to be Stenglein who will get back to it first for Subiaco, and he can relieve the pressure. Good kick too to the outer side of the ground where he's found Hardingham. Hardingham looking down towards half forward. Gee, a player well out on his own. That's not good checking. Shields it is who's taken the mark at right half forward. He comes into a more central location looking for Ridley, and in the middle of the pack is Bird, and he's been awarded the mark. So all players misjudging the flight of that ball, perhaps a little Ridley conscious.
Good news for the West Coast Eagles. They've had a 21-point win over Geelong at Cardinia Park, 9-11-65. To the Cats, 5-14-44. North Melbourne, a 41-point win over Carlton, 17-13 to 10-14. And the Western Bulldogs, who were behind Richmond for a large part of the game, have won by 13 points out at Waverley, 13-10 to 11-9. And Melbourne and Essendon, they're just into the second quarter of the twilight game at the MCG.
So Bird will shoot from about 35 metres out. He's directly in front, looking for Subiaco's 6th goal, and he's got it. Subi moved to 6-5, Peel are 1-1, and the margin is out to 34 points. 31.5 minutes played in the first term, but if you've just joined us, it will be a long quarter because we had to wait for a stretcher to get Glen Davies off the ground, rather unnecessarily. He's now strapped and ready to come back on.
Well, once again, a good transference of play from the Subiaco backline. Young Stylin changing direction very well to Hardingham. And once again, we talk about accountability of players. Well, Wally called it in the call there. Players just had far too much space, didn't they, in the change of direction? And that's a lack of accountability. Subiaco in control. And they've really, the Peel players have got to get closer to the Subiaco opponents. Otherwise, this is just going to continue to happen.
Grigich has the better of Irving in the middle. Lovell, a very short disposal by Boot. Bustle back towards Grigic, a quick left footer inside 50. Fife goes to ground, Bazo is there. So too Stengline, pulled off his kick, butters up a second time, did well. Grubbers a left footer, out onto the member's side. Well, the intention was quite clear on that occasion by Simpson to knock the ball over the line, but the umpire said it was okay, and the ball to be thrown in. Made no attempt to pick it up and slapped it almost directly to the line. We've almost hit the 33-minute mark. The ball thrown in, Green wins it down. Peel can't take any advantage, and the umpire will bounce it about 40 metres out from the Thunder's goal towards the Subiaco end. So this repeating North Melbourne West Coast, the Bulldogs, the AFL winners today, and Subiaco are on track here at league headquarters. They lead by 34 points, 6-5 to Peel 1-1, and Peter Thorne going out to address his charges. And disappointing for Peel and for Jeff Miles, Gary. They really fought well last week. Todd Ridley was on fire. He had 4 goals inside 16 minutes, but then didn't add to that. Bird and Hardingham did. Joshua Grouse, the only goal scorer for Peel, but really the Thunder would have been expecting to be a little bit more competitive in that opening quarter, considering their form at home against the Tigers last weekend.
Well, I think you're right. I think they started okay, but I really think the problem with Peel is that they have got some talent out on the field. There's no doubt about that. But what they're not understanding is the phases of the football game that they have to go through and compete in. And the phase when Subiaco are controlling the ball, their accountability when the opposition has the ball is very, very poor. They're all running forward. They all look to getting involved. They all want to make space, but they're not working hard enough when the opposition get the ball. And particularly in the midfield, this is the area where Peel are getting completely cut to ribbons. And really, if Jeff Miles is addressing something, as we see some of the action here on the screen, this is a good piece of play by Grigic, who works hard, gets his foot to the ball, pushes the ball forward for Gross to run onto and kick a goal. And that was really the only highlight as far as the Peel Thunder was concerned. Subiaco continued to work the ball hard. That's McDonald getting the ball on, and just too many players here getting to Ridley. And sorry, this is not the Ridley goal, but this is the mistake we'll see Barnden make, just standing flat-footed, and Hardingham capitalised on that. But yes, just far too many Subiaco players at the fall of the ball at the moment, and Peel just really struggling to mount any challenges at the moment.
There's that shot on goal where Ridley was very clever, very quickly onto that one and just dropping the right boot onto it.
So Jeff Miles talking to his Peel players there. There's obviously areas that need to be addressed. He's got the big wide open spaces here, and well, I hope he addresses that midfield area. I don't want to harp on it because it's only the first quarter and you'll get sick of me harping on it all day, but that's an area where they're getting chopped to pieces at the moment. Well,
Jeff Miles is probably telling his charges they haven't got enough of the game day ball today. If you want to win that particular ball, all you have to do is dial our number 1900 999 220 by 5 p.m. on Monday and tell us which team is the 1997 Sandover medalist now playing with. Last year's Sandover medalist has made the move to the AFL. What club is he playing for? 1900 999 220 before 5 p.m. on Monday. And there is the ball in question, the game day ball. And let's hope that Peel can get hold of it plenty of times in the second quarter. They got to within 20 points of Claremont at the final siren in our telecast match at Rushton Park last week. And they probably would have been hoping for a lot better here in the opening quarter. Peter Thorne and Subiaco perhaps should have done better. The scoreline 6-5. Some of the shots that they missed weren't all that difficult. They had a slight breeze. The windsock just starting to pull away nicely, in fact, now from the flagpole down adjacent to the main scoreboard at the city end. So perhaps Peel might be able to rally here with the breeze. Although, as we know, at Subiaco Oval, with the 3-tier stand and now, more importantly, the 2-tier stand around towards the southern part of the ground, it is quite easy to be able to work into the breeze. But you can see how strong it is now. But once you get the ball to about the attacking edge of the centre square at the Subiaco end, there's plenty of shelter and plenty of opportunities to kick goals into the breeze. Peter Thorne, who used to run for Gerard Neesham when Neesham was coach of Claremont, and terrific performance last night, Wally, by the Fremantle Dockers, and great for Western Australian football. The Eagles, as we said, getting up today too, and defeating Geelong 9-11 to 5-14 by a margin of 21 points down at Kardinia Park.
Yeah, there were some good signs for the Dockers last night, weren't there? They, the number of scoring shots in particular, I think, was a reflection of the work that they did in the midfield. They've got this recurring problem, of course, which is their inability to kick goals. But if they can, kick more than half of, if they can get 35 scoring shots a week and make more than half of them goals, then they're probably going to win more games than they lose, Gary. But the problem is kicking the goals, and 14 out of 35 really isn't satisfactory either, even though they did get the points.
Yes, well, I think St Kilda had a number of players who were down on there, as we see Paul Harding, one of the assistants down at Peel this year, a great player with, 3 clubs, Hawthorn, St Kilda's and West Coast Eagles.
Well, Rod Willett's been listening to both coaches at quarter time. Rodney.
Yes, thanks, Glenn. Well, Jeff Miles probably disappointed in his players at the moment. There obviously was a big build-up before the game, and they've gone out there and they've just let it all go out the window. So he went through each of his players, basically the whole side, and picked out the errors that they'd all been making, and then went through and said the disciplined things that we need to do. We've talked about it all week. Let's get back and focus on the game, and they're hoping that they're going to go out and give a better effort this quarter. On the other hand, Subiaco, Peter Thorne very happy with his charges. He just wants them to tidy up their disposals a little bit more. Let's hit the targets and let's look for Todd Ridley down at full forward.
Rod Willett, boundary side, as we start the second term at Subiaco Oval. Subiaco have a 34-point lead over Peel. The bounce of the ball hanging over Grigic's head. It didn't really favour him when the ruckman gets caught under it like that. Opportunity for O'Connor. He goes forward quickly. Got it to Richardson, who was pulled off. He chose to pulled off the kick. He chose to play on. Comes out to Anderson. Anderson kicks wide towards centre wing. Truan and Miller out there. Miller ran onto the ball well, but Truan drags him down, scoops it back towards the boundary line. In comes Godden, close to the line. Did he take it over? Not in the opinion of the umpire. Comes back to a player infield, Miller, who kicks long now towards half forward. Shearer up in the middle of the pack. Spoiled from behind by Simister was good football. Another chance for Lovell at ground level for Peel. His hand pass to Gilbert. Gilbert from right half back. Kicks short, intercepted by Headland. Headland's got players loose ahead of the play. Coming across as Simister to meet the ball. He needs to give a good contest, and he gave as good as they needed. Clears the ball across the face of the ground. Anderson leads in the race for the ball for Peel. Close to the line. Was he tripped? He was tripped, but the ball was already out of play in the opinion of the umpire, and there's going to be a boundary throw in 45 metres around from the Peel goal. I'll give you some of the leading possession getters in that first term in just a moment. Just see what happens as a result of this throw-in. Shearer was the ruckman to the back of the pack, taken by Grouse, now to Simister. Simister kicks down towards centre wing. Truan beaten by the bounce of the ball. Opportunity for Daniel Parker at the back. Steadies, looks in towards half forward. I think Shields was the target. It was totally ill-directed, and it in fact landed with Marr, who gets it to Bazo. During that first term, there were some prolific possession getters. Gorsey had 14 disposals, 9 kicks, 5 hand passes for Subiaco as the ball rolls out of play at left centre wing for the Lions. Hampson had 9. He had 6 kicks, 2 hand passes. Gorsey incidentally also took 5 marks. Godden had 6 and 1 for 7. Ridley 5 and 3 and included 4 goals. Shields 5 kicks and a hand pass. Hardingham 5 kicks, 3 hand passes. They were the best for Subiaco. And then for Peel, Bolton had 4 kicks, 4 hand passes. Davey going off the ground towards half forward, and a good mark has been taken down there by Retzlaff, is it?
Yeah, look like he's starting in the forward pocket at the moment.
Bazo 3 kicks, 3 hand passes. Boyle 4 kicks, no hand passes. Anderson 4 kicks and a hand pass. Davey 5 kicks and a hand pass. They were best for Peel during that first quarter. And now we watch Retzlaff line up for a badly needed goal from 50 metres out, kicking to the goal at the city end. He had the aid of a southwesterly breeze, but he's missed to the right. So another point or behind to Peel at a time when they badly need goals. Subi is 6-5, Peel are 1-2.
It's good to see that Jeff Miles has brought Kelvin Marr back on after being pulled off in the opening quarter. Now the kick in towards the members' side of the ground. Stenglein, a clearing kick round the members' wing, and Parker. In fact, Bester taking the mark. I'm thinking of Parker wears 5 when he plays for the Dockers. Godden gets it across to Hampson, out wide to Hardingham. 70 metres out and closing. That's not a good kick. It falls straight in the arms of Mcguinness. 45 metres out from the goal that Peel are defending. A left footer floats awkwardly, but Bolton able to take the mark. Called now to play on. He feigned the hand pass to Boyle. Goes now towards left half forward. Davey on the lead. Ball close to the boundary line. The whistle sounds. Gee, that didn't suit him much in it. Davey, according to the umpire, was being impeded by the jumper by Gorsey. He hurriedly plays on, looking for Fife. Has a couple to beat now. Just knocks it out on the ground to Grouse. Playing for the free kick. Gorsey comes through, brilliantly tackled by Fife. It's holding the ball. He didn't have much prior opportunity there, Gorsey, and he looked like he was trying to swing an arm at it to affect a hand pass. Let's have a look at it in replay. Gorsey, yeah, almost jarred loose as he was trying to...
Bit unlucky, I think.
Get the ball away with the hand pass. Clayton Fife playing only his second game. Grigich. Gee, how can they have not have found him and manned up? Plays on. Well done, Big Elia. He's kicked the goal. Peel get their second. Their first came at the 7-minute mark of the opening quarter, and they now get to within 27 points of the Lions.
Yes, that was pretty lax marking there. Grigg just able to slip down into some space. Dean Irving obviously on the goal line there. So good play by Grigg just to put a bit of pressure back on Dean Irving, who has been playing quite well. And Grigg able to find a little bit of the space. And he's quite good around the goals, Ilya Grigg. That's one area within 40 metres of goals. He's a pretty good kick on goals. And that was a very important kick for Peel to get that first one on the board of this second quarter. And yeah, that wind is really blowing quite strong now down to the end that Peel is kicking. So yes, if Peel can just regroup themselves here and just put it in a good quarter, they can go in at half-time somewhere around the mark.
27 points the margin, just over 5 minutes played. Bazo sends Peel forward again. He's kicked it right across the face of the ground. But Peel lead in the race for the ball as Grouse takes possession. Lost his footing at a crucial moment. Mcguinness got out of one tackle. Back to Grouse. He didn't have the support he needed. Kicks now inside 50 metres. It's all Subiaco. Parker takes the mark. Well, a couple of Subiaco players almost spoiling one another, but they had two very big players in Irving and Parker camped in front of the pack, and they were always going to provide an impenetrable wall. Another chance for Mcguinness to send Peel forward. Lost control of it. Godden to Hampson. Hampson across his body to half forward, and Bird with Shields just getting out of the road in the nick of time. Bird ahead of the centre line. He's between right centre wing and right half forward. Kicks inside 50 metres. O'Connor is the target. Gilbert with body strength got rid of him. O'Connor sliding to the foot to the ground to avoid the tackle was quite clever, but Boyle gets back to it first. Richardson trying to tap it back in. Not able to do that, and there will be a boundary throw in 25 metres around from Subiaco's goal. Subi is 6-5, Peel at 2-2. And we've played about 7 minutes in this second term at Subiaco Oval. As Mcguinness claims the ball again, hooks it over his shoulder, but kicks it straight to Hardingham, 45 metres out, back on goal. He would have had a few of those at training, I would think, but he misses to the right. And a behind result, so it's 6-6 to 2-2.
Kicking to play short, Mcguinness, who's seen a lot of the football in this second quarter. Peel still deep in defence. Mcguinness to halfback, Simister the target, did well. Just a clever little side bump on Shearer took him out of the contest. Scott Simister will run towards the man on the mark, draw him, hand pass to Witherow. Left halfback proper. Kick over the centre line, looking for Grouse. Well done from behind by Simpson, leading around to spoil. Gorsey right near the boundary line, and the ball will be thrown in. Irving and Green. Green wins it down. Davey gets it. Kick doesn't travel the required distance. Subiaco destroy it. Bazo there. Hand passes into the path of Ma. Needs to show some good evasive skills. He taps it onto Truan. He's slung by Parker. Hampson the loose ball. Hand pass to McDonald. He bounces off Davey. Davies should have tried to tackle rather than bump. Irving gets it by hand back to McDonald, who goes short. The tumbling mark taken in the middle by Headland, on to Godden, another hand pass. They can go right inside 50 here, Subiaco. The kick up looking for Ridley, it bounces off his chest. Peel player, what will be the decision? Holding the ball. Barnum will be penalised. And Ridley all smiles as he picks himself up an opportunity to snare his fifth of the afternoon.
I think he was laughing at Phil Gilbert.
Former teammate.
50.
50 metres.
Yes, Barden didn't like the decision. This will guarantee that Ridley will have his 5th inside the 10-minute mark of the second quarter. You can explain as much as you like, Wayne. It's not going to change the decision. Todd Ridley, 4 goals, 1, becomes 5-1. Subiaco pull further ahead at the 10-minute mark. In fact, 9 minutes played in this second term.
Well, that's the way to do it. If a defender wants to dive on the ball these days and bring the ball underneath him, then they're going to get pinged more times than they're not going to get pinged for holding the ball. On this occasion, there was nearly a mix-up between Ridley and Richardson, but there's the defender not really making a lot of effort to get the ball out, just prepared to try and concede a bounce down. But Ridley applied the tackle on him. And in that situation, I think that's the correct decision. Ridley was awarded the free kick, and we see some of the spectators enjoying some of the sunshine here at Subiaco Oval.
Ball back in the centre. Irving and Grigic. Pretty messy passage of football in there, and I'm sure we'll have another bounce. Subiaco 7-6, 48. Peel 2-2, 14. 54 points is the margin. Sorry, 34 points. Mesmerised at the moment. Grigic getting the ball down was good play, but Subiaco take it away. Get it down towards half forward. Opportunity at the front of the pack for Godden. Hand pass across to Headland, who kicks in towards full forward. Back goes Ridley, and he almost took a good mark, and he could have been awarded the free kick for interference. That was dangerous by Peel, but they've got away with it. Hand passing across at ground level in front of the goal, but they've got the ball out of play across on the northern wing, and there will be a throw in at right half forward for the Lions.
So don't recommend young players attempt that trick that Peel attempted there in the full back line.
Trying to beat the play with a hand pass in front of goal as Bolton sweeps it wide. Sinister off the ground, but not effectively. Hardingham infield looking for Headland. Knocked away from him, picked up by Bazo, who misses the target with the hand pass, and now Richardson can snap on goal, but he's pulled it too far across his body, far too far, and has put it out of play on the full. And Mcguinness will bring it back in.
Scrappy piece of play at the moment.
Sean Mcguinness goes short and finds Grouse. One of Peel's 2-goal scorers is Glen Davies, prepares to come back onto the ground. He went off on a stretcher during the first quarter with what appeared to be an ankle injury. A free kick now to Ilya Grigic. He's at left half back for Peel, and there's very little happening further up the ground. Goes for distance just to try and take some of the pressure off. Big leap from Lovell. Hampson has it. He's well tackled. Trewin emerged with the ball. Lovell again kicks into an opponent. Trewin, without looking, hooks it inside 50 metres, and the ball runs out of play. There'll be a boundary throw in 45 metres out from Peel's goal.
Lenny Lovell has been particularly quiet today, hasn't he? He really hasn't been noticed. Bolton, like last week, it was a very good player. They were two players that were in the first half were really driving Peel forward, and they've been pretty quiet today.
Boundary throw in, one down by Irving. Lovell is there, but he couldn't get a possession. Hooked around the body by Richardson. Well done by Miller, who's knocked it on. It's as good as a kick almost. There's Anderson. Shunted over the line. Will be a throw in.
He hasn't seen much of the ball either, Anderson, so some of the bigger names for Peel just not performing the way that they need them to perform to be competitive.
Irving and Green on the members' wing. Irving leans over, wins it down. Bazo has the ball knocked from his grasp. Godden tracks it back over the line. It's repeating those AFL margins. North Melbourne by 41 points today over Carlton. West Coast by 21 over Geelong. And the Bulldogs by 13 over Richmond. 3 full-time scores through so far. Ball thrown in. Trewin comes in to assist, wins it down, but Headland gets a quick kick. Unlucky bounce there for Gilbert. Cleverly socked forward by O'Connor. Here's Shields. He's got a player running past in support. Harding who gathers. Needs to get rid of it in a hurry. He does, back to Shields, who's claimed. Quick kick, floats towards centre half forward, and Bolt takes the mark against the other number 1, Richardson. Bolt spies True and just over the centre circle. He should have done better. Miller at the back, a collision course. Ball has been gathered up by Lovell, goes short. Oh, Mara fit of the fumbles. Now plays for the free kick, no whistle. Subiaco get it to Hampson. Hampson off to Godden, who goes short, and the mark to Headland near the centre circle. The Lions go forward with ease. Shearer the mark to training drill. Hand pass off to Irving. Thumps it long and low. Ridley up, puts the mark. Almost like Air Jordan. He seemed to hang in the air on that occasion. He left the ground early and actually hit the ground before he took the mark. Well,
That would be one of the lowest high marks he's ever taken.
well, an opportunity to kick his 6th. The record for these two clubs head-to-head. Todd Bremen kicked 7 goals last season. The 4th time these two clubs have come together on the football field. Opportunity for Ridley to bag his 6th at the 15-minute mark of the 2nd term. And he does just that. Todd Ridley, 6 goals, 1 in a team total of 8 goals, 7.
Well, fine performance by Todd Ridley. He's certainly a focal point and just makes such a difference at the Westar level if you've got a focal point. But a good chain of football here by Subiaco. It's bringing ball down the corridor, which is always the right way to bring the ball down. And there's that leap. Just leapt early, put the player out of position and was able to, in the end, judge a pretty difficult mark in the end, because when you jump early you can put yourself off balance also, so you must keep your eye on the ball in that type of situation, and really did it very, very well on that particular occasion. And he's really a thorn in the side at the moment of Peel Thunder.
Well, Peel got to within 27 points of Subiaco in the opening minutes of this 2nd term, but the lead has now slipped out to 40 points. We've played 15 and a half minutes as Grigic and Irving do battle. One down by Grigic and taken by Bazo. Well trapped by Green. Lovell, the umpire's whistle's gone and he's penalised Green for a throw.
It was a pretty good decision, but interestingly, the umpire was directly behind Green. I think it was a throw with the naked eye from our angle, but it's interesting the umpire could pick it.
Might be able to have a look at a replay if we can see it. Whether he shoved the ball off here in his haste to get the ball on quickly and forgot to actually punch the ball.
The clearing kick goes out wide, and Stenglein with the mark will clear down towards centre wing, and that will be a free kick, I would think. No, it's not. Godden perhaps a little bit stiff as Shearer comes infield to Hampson. Hampson's quick hands find Godden, and Godden goes towards Ridley, who is 3 metres ahead of Barnden, who's now gone back onto him. He's replaced Bustle, and there's a player loose down the ground, and that player can run in to an open goal. It's Godden, and he has kicked Subiaco's 9th, and in so doing probably deprived Todd Ridley of his 7th, but that doesn't matter. Subiaco got the goal. That's what's important to them. They're 9-6. Peel are 2-2, and the margin is now 46 points.
Well, certainly unselfish football by Todd Ridley, but beautiful use of the football by Subiaco coming into the forward line. But yeah, there's not a lot of pressure out there on the Subiaco players. They're able to build the ball up. They're able to find a player with a bit of space and time. And you know, at any level of football, if players have got a lot of time and space to be able to sum up options, they're going to make you pay.
Ball in the middle. Bazo tries to get clean possession. The ball's still at his feet. Now he gets a quick kick away. Little spiral torpedo that fell off the outside of the boot. Ma has found it hard to get a possession today. Again, he loses it to Subiaco. The hand pass wide by Gorsey to the outer wing. Bird comes back infield. Hand pass too slick for McDonald. Plenty of players, though, there in support. Richardson won. Gave it off to Bird, who took his eyes off the ball. Retzlaff's hand pass picked up by Irving. Gets it into the path of Gorsey. Gorsey then off to a teammate. It's far too easy here for Subiaco. So they go forward again, and Ridley takes the mark.
Well, you've got to feel sorry for Wayne Barnden down there. Look at the way the ball's been brought in. Really, you got no chance as a backman when the players up the field are just putting not enough pressure on the opposition, and they're able to spear the ball in a full forward. Gee, I think if I whacked a jumper on, I might be able to get a kick down there with the way the ball's coming in.
Well, it's my sort of game too, Gary. Your opponent's about 5 or 6 metres away from you.
Yep.
Scott McDonald the pass to Ridley, and Ridley has kicked his 7th, so he's equal the Todd Bremen record that Bremen set last year of 7 goals for Subiaco. against Peel, and we've played only 18 and a half minutes in the second quarter.
Yes, well, I'm starting to run out of room on the record here for goals for Todd Ridley. I'll have to do them a bit smaller or carry him over.
If you do them like that,
yeah,
it's a lot easier.
Much better. Well, you've got a very good organisation there with a little straight through it.
Because if you've got eyesight like yours and mine, it's very difficult to count the picket fence that you've got lined up. That looks like your first innings for Scarborough.
All singles.
Yeah. Irving tries to knock the ball forward. It's taken by Bolton.
Took me an hour.
Gary Boycott back on Bacanara. This is Miller for Subiaco. Goes looking for Ridley again. Barnden with him this time, and Barnden's taken a well-judged mark. Strong mark. Plays on with a hand pass across the face of the goal. Come back looking for Barnden, which has put them all under pressure. Working deep in defence is Witherow. His short kick is a good one. And it's found... Who was that, Glenn? That player. Just come on. Who's... Maletta, sorry, it was too. As the ball goes forward for Subiaco again, down towards the full forward area, picked up by Mcguinness, clears it back towards half-back. Anderson with the mark, now to Grouse, working hard back there, the Peel defence, but just not able to do anything effectively. Green has it, hand pass was intended for Bazo, didn't quite get to its target, and as a result it's rushed out of play for a throw-in at right centre wing for Subiaco, for Peel, I'm sorry. Just looking at the scoreboard, 10-6 to 2-2. Subiaco by 52 points. Irving being opposed by Green. Irving just too tall, getting the ball to the front of the pack. And just as Bolton emerged with the ball, the umpire's whistle went, and there'll be a bounce in the same position. Irving and Green. Green at the second attempt, knocked on by Bazo. Opportunity this time for Peel as Boyle soccers it inside 50. Fife beaten by the bounce of the ball. Subiaco with the numbers in the immediate vicinity of the ball. Good tackle applied by Bolton. He works pretty hard, Bolton. Gets his share of the ball, but he's always working back with the second and third effort. And as a result of his endeavours on that occasion, there'll be a bounce about 40 metres out from Peel's goal. They desperately need goals. They've kicked only one in this term, while Subiaco have added 4, and we're now 21 minutes into the quarter. Again, Irving just too tall in the ruck contest and recovers the ball at ground level. Kicks back towards the centre square, just went through O'Connor's hands, taken by Boyle, kicks long towards full forward in the pocket. Oh, gee, a player forced to stand his ground. He showed a bit of courage in that marking contest. It's Grouse again.
Been hard worker, hasn't he?
He has, and he was last week too, wasn't he? And
good courage there to, you know, it's not a nice situation when you find yourself in that. Well, would you have found yourself in that situation
never
many
ever,
times,
Gary.
or did you actually turn around and then face the packer?
I was actually too smart to ever find myself in that position. One with my pain threshold had to be too smart. Phil Gilbert looking on from the dugout. As Grouse lines up, I was a practising coward, mate, I've got to own up to that. As Grouse kicks at goal, and has he got Peel's third? I think he has, and he has his second. So Peel moved to 3-2, Subiaco are 10-6, and the margin is now 46 points.
Yes, well, he's certainly feeling the effects here. A good kick, he did find space, but Fife gives him a little, you just saw out of the edge of the camera there, Fife just allowed him to be able to maybe get that position on the ball, because he just kept his opponent out, Fife, and that just gave Gross a time to really camp himself under the ball and really make sure that if he didn't take the mark, he was going to get the free kick anyhow. So good little bit of work off the ball by Fife, and that's a much needed goal by Peel.
Bazo wins it down after a crooked bounce. Truan is tackled high, so an opportunity for Thunder to go inside their attacking 50. Grigic is running hard down ground, but Truan, rather than kicking to the open man, lost it. Gathered by Boyle, kicks inside 50 well and truly. The foot race is on when the ball hits the ground. Carmody sockers it straight into the head of his teammate Fife. Ricochets out to Lovell, who pulls it back and has kicked it, but it's touched. Well, like Carmody earlier in the game, it was on line, but it had been touched off the boot, and Peel moved to 3-3. Need to get more out of Andy Lovell and Stuart Anderson. Subiaco in towards the members' half-back flank. Stengline all on his own. Just inside the defensive 50. Chips it short. Bester takes the mark. Right half-back proper. Magnificent day for football. As Bester short, the mark to Miller. Wants to play on. Comes wide, too wide. That has almost cleared the fence. Out of bounds on the full, and Stuart Anderson will get a touch of the ball, but only by virtue of the fact that he was in the right place at the right time. Wouldn't have done a lot to excite the Fremantle match committee so far. A player of that quality should have really more than 7 possessions as we are in time on in the second quarter. The high fly from Green went up too early. Bolton tapped it out cleverly. Well done. The hand pass by Grouse to Truan. That kick is narrow all the way out on the full. It hit the left behind post. So Peel going forward.
There was more signals by the goal umpire then
than you get from a policeman on point duty. He had the traffic going every which way.
Subiaco making a change. Shields comes on for Miller, who just kicked the ball out on the full in that previous passage of play. Kick into play. They've almost put it out on the full again. That was well done by McDonald. I think he realised the boundary line was looming and he'd better dive and get a hand on it.
Actually, I think what he was doing was semaphoring the message to the boundary umpire. I think it was Morse code of some sort.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah, telling him it was out on the full. Boundary throw-in is 55, 60 metres around from Peel's goal. They've got the initiative in the game at the moment, not on the scoreboard, but just in the last couple of minutes. They need to kick a goal or two if they can. Again, it's Bolton who does the hard work in the pack for them and gets the ball clear. Green took a long time to find it. Bazo hooks it in short. Grouse had bounced out of his arms. Simpson is dispossessed. Grouse working hard at ground level to Bolton. He could kick that. Clever kick. And that's another goal to Peel. They've kicked 2 in a row for the first time in the game, and they moved to 4-3. Subiaco at 10-6, but and I don't want to overvalue young Bolton's ability at this stage, but he really does work hard in the packs, and he's very skillful once he gets the ball himself.
Well, he did. Initially, you saw Green pick the ball up, but it was Bolton that got the ball out to Green, and there he's followed his work up from the half-forward flank to receive the ball from Grouse, who also is working very hard. And if some of those more senior players out there, such as Red, Slaff, Bazo, Lovell, could take a leaf out of Grouse and Bolton, the way that they're trying to work hard for their side, then I think they'd be in the game a lot longer.
Brigic and Irving. Irving wins it down. Witherow is there coming off the outer wing. Couldn't get a kick away. The umpire blows the whistle. We will have another bounce courtesy of umpire Dwayne Cole, who's out there with Peter Repper and Jeff Petrie. Coming on, Travis Burton for Subiaco. Replacing Simpson. Ball still on the outer wing. Hampson, a quick kick towards left half forward. Simister leads out towards the ball. Gathers it in the end from just backward of right centre wing. Spears it low. Gross at the back. Plays on. 40 metres out and closing. Can they get 3 in a row? No. Gee, they really needed that one at the 27-minute mark. He should have done better. The youngster has probably appealed, supported the glum look on the face.
Yes, that was one really a golden opportunity there, running into an open goal. Really should have nailed that one, and would have been 3 in a row, and it just would have given the side a lift just before half-time.
Short kick in is a good one. Finds Parker in the pocket. Oops, he's kicked straight into Fife, but recovers it well and makes 10 or 15 metres as a result of that. Gets the ball up towards half-back, and Headland takes the mark. He chips the ball infield, not a good kick. Retzlaff overcommitted himself. He got rid of Gordon, but Subiaco recovered the ball. I think Peel could have done better there. Shields has it now. Took as much time as he had before he kicked it down towards half forward. Opportunity for Peel. It was pretty well played by Mcguinness. Hand pass comes back in, field to Boyle. Mcguinness again, he didn't want that, didn't need it. Boyle, they get out of trouble, down towards half forward in the direction of Green. The ball knocked away from him by Bester. And there will be, it was Carmody, I'm sorry, who went for that mark. The burly frame of Carmody.
You're being kind, Walt.
It's a wide shot, isn't it? Throw in between left centre wing and left half forward. Peel in attack again. So I said a moment ago, they've had the initiative during the last 5 or 6 minutes of football. And they've had the chance to kick 3 goals, but have managed only 2 as O'Connor has paid the mark on the boundary line. The ball coming infield. Headland renewing his battle with Maher. Bird has it. Witherow is on his tail. Bird in towards centre-half forward. The kick cleared Shawcross. Retzlaff is there now, met by Ridley, but he's done enough to give Barndon the opportunity to clear. He hand passes directly to Shawcross. Back it goes to Ridley. Ridley looks into the pocket. Bird is unattended. Takes the mark. Plays on around his overcommitted opponent and kicks the goal. 2 to Bird. And that makes 11 to Subiaco and has undone a lot of Peel's good work in the last 5 minutes. 11-6 to 4-4.
Terrible error. Retzlaff did very well. Watch here, Barndon just didn't sum his options up at all well. Just chose the worst possible option. Really in that situation, just should have cleared the ball. Either aim for the boundary line further up the field, but never, ever just a rusher decision like that and give the ball back to your opposing player, opposition. Particularly inside 50 where they can make you pay, and on that occasion Subiaco was a terrible mistake by Wayne Barndon.
Ball bounced in the middle, it favoured Grigic, who won it down. Godden comes in. He's got running support wide through Headland, who can't gather. Peel are desperate. They'll get it out to Retzlaff, the former Swans skipper. The ball is still loose near the centre circle. Bird, a very quick hand pass to Godden, who thumps it long and high to the attacking 50. O'Connor worked his way in front, did the hard work, then dropped the chest mark. Anderson flares it wide. Maher, who's been very quiet today, taps it along the boundary line, gets in a tangle with his own mate there, Bolton, who's kicked it out on the full. Ricocheted off the Achilles area of Bolton. Subiaco quickly down ground. That's very close to the line. Given the benefit of the doubt, there's Headland, who comes inside looking for Ridley, and he leapt too early at the back. The mark to Peel. Away they go. The kick down ground into the centre from Simister. The mark to Bazo. Can they get a late goal? Lovell with it. Left foot kick. That's going to fall in no man's land as far as Peel is concerned. Daniel Parker retrieves it for Subi. Around the wing. Hardingham wanted to go on by hand to Gorsey. Now he kicks it in that direction. It clears Gorsey. Out comes Shearer. Little hand pass off to Shawcross. His hand pass is stolen from Gorsey by Irving, who goes deep to right full forward. Knocked away in defence by Boyle. And we'll have a throw in. Todd Ridley in screen there. 7 goals in the opening half. Been a productive 2 quarters of football for he and Subiaco. Simister tries to nudge Shearer under the ball. Simister then retrieves it, heads for the line. The umpire says OK, and we'll have a throw-in.
Throw-in is about 30 metres around from Subiaco's goal. Shearer will do the ruck work for Subiaco. Simister over the back for Peel. Bird's hand pass to no one in particular. Retzlaff, hurried kick into the centre, where Subiaco have the numbers if they can just get it out of that pack, and they did to Gorsey. Retzlaff, Gorsey, he's run down. That could have almost been holding the ball. It is. He didn't have a lot of time and was almost in the act of kicking, but perhaps did have prior opportunity. Now Bazo goes across the face of the ground and finds Mcguinness. Mcguinness over the top with an errant hand pass. Puts his team under pressure again. Retzlaff has it. He's caught, got rid of it in the nick of time. Mcguinness seemed to pull it back in. It doesn't matter because it's half-time here at Subiaco Oval. And at half-time, the Lions in a very strong position. They're 11-6-72 to Peel's 4-4-28.
Well, they were more competitive in that quarter, Peel. They trailed by 34 points at quarter time. Subiaco only able to extend that margin by a further 10 points. There's Todd Ridley, 7 goals in the opening half to give him 28 for the season. And he'll be looking to make it double figures in the second half for the Lions. He's congratulated by Burton and also McDonald. Ridley 7, Bird 2. Singles to Hardingham and Godden. Grouse, as Gary Buckenara said, has tried hard today, and he is Peel's only multiple goal scorer. They did get a little bit better on the scoreboard in that quarter, Gary, but they still have a mountain of work to do in the second half as Peel heads into the rooms down by just over 7 goals.
Yes, 44 points. was really a disappointing quarter for Peel. They started okay, but then just faded away, and Subiaco were just able to get far too many easy goals in that middle part of the quarter. And it seems the Peel players just having concentration problems to be able to switch on for that full 30 minutes per quarter. They just have these lapses, and the opposition break them apart, particularly in the midfield. And you saw how and Ridley looks like he's limping a little bit here. In a bit of trouble there, so one may wonder whether Todd Ridley has done a bit of a groin, and whether he'll take a lot further part, because after half-time he may cool down a little bit, but only time will tell there. But with the way the ball got brought into the forward line, it would have been a nightmare being Wayne Barnes, and they were just being able to pepper the ball and deliver the ball into the forward line at will, and really a lack of discipline in the midfield there by Peel Thunder, and that's the area today that they've really got themselves into a lot of trouble. Subiaco dominant, and if you can give them a little bit of space and time to be able to deliver the ball, then they'll do that every time.
Well, we've got the 2 games to bring you next week on ABC television, the Foundation Day weekend. And on Saturday, we'll be down at Claremont Oval from 2 o'clock. Claremont taking on Subiaco. And on Foundation Day, East Perth and West Perth, the traditional Perth Derby coming to you from Perth Oval. But here at Subiaco Oval, it's a very handy 44-point lead to the Lions at half-time over Peel, 11-6 to the Thunders 4-4. Let's spend some time now with Phil Gilbert and also Mick Malone and one of the great supporters of the Fremantle Dockers, Pat Watson, who is the property manager, and he's a man who's been involved at that level in Western Australian football as a property manager for various clubs for near on 4 decades, as we go to half-time at the footy.
That's the kind of football that I like. That's the kind of football that I like. That's the kind.
And a 44-point lead to Subiaco at half-time here at Subiaco Oval over Peel. The other half-time scores today: Swan Districts are leading Perth by 6 points, 6-6 to 5-6. West Perth by 9 points over South Fremantle, 7-5 to 6-2. And the Tigers over the Royals at the moment by 2 goals at half-time, 5-2 to 3-2. Well, you have an opportunity to win the game day ball each week. We've been promoting it throughout the season, and earlier today, Jack James, a recipient of the ball a couple of weeks ago. He's a Subiaco supporter, and Gary Buckenara kindly came out of the Subiaco luncheon today, and well that he did too, because there wasn't much food left when Gary left. But that was the ball presented to Jack James, so well done, Jack. And you can win, of course, the ball here today. And the question that Alan Cook answered last week, and Alan Cook in actual fact is Troy Cook's father. Troy Cook, the runner-up in the Sandover medal a few years ago, and is now playing with the Sydney Swans. Alan told us that John Dimmer, the coach of West Perth, was the current Westar coach who played in the 1973 Premiership side. And if you want to win today's game day ball, which team is last year's Sandover medalist now playing with in the AFL? 1900 999 220, 1900 999 220 by 5 o'clock on Monday. Now, every winner of the game day ball competition also goes into our end of season draw, and you have the opportunity to win a corporate box here for grand final day. And sitting in the very box is Rod Willett with the general manager of Westar Rules, Grant Dorrington.
Yes, thanks very much, Glenn. And one of the great initiatives of Westar and the ABC this year has been the game ball competition.
It's been fantastic, Rod. It's a real initiative that all the people sitting home today listening, watching TV, can get involved by getting a real footy. This is the footy that one of the footies that will be given out throughout the course of the year. We're very, very thrilled to be supportive of it. It's worked so well so far, and the box we're sitting in here is something that the winning game day ball winner will be sitting here on grand final day.
And who do you think we may be watching on grand final day and enjoying all the goodies that you would if you're in the box?
Well, as a general manager, you always go for clubs that are going to fill the ground up, and we've had some wonderful grand finals. I've got a feeling at this stage West Perth is showing a lot. East Fremantle are always there, and I think it's going to be fairly competitive right at the top.
It will indeed, and there's also been a lot of other rumours and things happening in Westar at the moment, Grant. I know reading the paper this morning, Eagle players and Dockers players that are Westar players are changing clubs.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's always on. And can I say, in the case of Todd Nina and Socorro, they are both requested by the clubs they're at. And as long as the two clubs agree, and the Eagles, who their player, agree, then they'll shift the player. And so we've had 2 in the last month, and hopefully Todd Nina's playing well today, and I know Socorro's enjoying his change.
No, it's great to try and give these players an opportunity if they're not playing well at their own club. But how do the players feel about a good player leaving the camp and then goes and plays another one? And also, how do the supporters feel about losing a good player that they obviously need to bolster their side?
Well, I mean, in the case of both these, the clubs initiated the move. So I must say again, East Perth and Perth did speak to the Eagles and say, we feel the player may be better suited with another club. And so really, I don't think that was the problem. The players moved. I just hope both players do very well at the clubs they've gone to.
Grant, Wally Foreman, what about in the case, though, when the clubs aren't happy about it? The clubs themselves, and when it's the AFL clubs that are taking the initiative in the move?
Yeah, well, in that case, I mean, recently Hargraves was asked, the Fremantle Dockers requested the Commission to shift Hargraves from Peel. Now, in that case, Peel believed that it wasn't in the best interest of the player. They spoke about it, and at the end of the day, they wrote to the Commission. The Commission said, no, we'll leave the player at Peel. It is a difficult situation, while at the end of the day, number one, the player must be the most important part of it. And I can tell you now, it is a difficult one to get around, and one that we don't look forward to dealing with a lot. But so far, it's been pretty successful.
Yep.
Just quickly, Grant, does the club get any compensation?
The club that they leave? No, they don't at the present time. And again, I say, because in the case of Nina and Sakura, they requested. Perth and East Perth requested, so they don't get any compensation. Hopefully next year, when the allocation comes again, they'll get a chance to get another player.
Well, thanks very much, Grant, and I'll be looking forward to being in the box with someone here on Grand Final Day.
Well, I think they'll be here with 30,000 other people having a wonderful time in what is a very good competition.
Thanks very much for talking to us, Grant.
Pleasure.
Rod Willett on the boundary line. There are the stats. Rod would have had a better chance of winning the competition if he could have remembered the answer a few weeks ago. What number did he wear when he was playing for Subiaco? But I don't think he could remember, and hence he's not in the draw. Centre bounce, one down by Irving, and they quickly get it across to McDonald. Subiaco, a long kick inside 50. Interestingly, Ridley is back on the ground. You can see he's not moving at 100% as the ball is taken over the line in the defence area there by Barnard. Todd Ridley, as Gary Buckenara highlighted, just as the team was leaving the ground at half-time, seemed to be inconvenienced by what appeared to be a groin strain. He certainly didn't move with a great deal of fluidity, and he came out on that lead just then. Bird runs onto this. Alfred's been one down in the ruck contest. He couldn't gather. Shields taps it along the ground. Shearer's hand pass intercepted by Grouse. Was he taken high? It appeared to be. No whistle. Boyle a hand pass off to Bazo, and the former Swans player comes wide to the members' wing and finds Grigich. Big Elia goes long towards right half forward. The target there was Carmody. He was nudged under the ball. A stalemate between Retzlaff and Gorsey, and we'll have a bounce. Right half forward for Peel, who would dearly love to get the opening goal of the second half. They're down by 44 points. Grigich wins it down to Davey. Hooks the left footer very deep towards right full forward. Out comes Fife. Well, two Subiaco players made it easy for him, colliding behind him. In the end, Stenglein can't keep it inside the field of play, and the ball will be thrown in at right half forward for Peel. A lot of the ground covered in shade at the moment on the two-tier stand. Grouse taken in a tackle there by Irving. A mismatch in weight divisions, and we'll have a bounce on the attacking 50 for Peel. Joshua Grouse, Peel's only multiple goal scorer in the opening half with 2. Grigich and Irving. Grigich wins it down inside 50. Grouse is there, goes to ground. Subiaco in defence, desperate. Simpson was pulled off it. Going in is Godden. He gets it across towards Hanson. Just in advance of fullback into the wide open expanses, but it's going to be a relayed free kick. They're allowed the advantage because Hardingham's going to run onto it. That's good umpiring. Rather than forcing a stoppage in play, Hardingham kicks towards the lead of Ridley. Out he comes. Can't take the chest mark. May have been infringed. Gets a hand pass away. Going onto it there is Richardson. Slung as he hand passes across the attacking 50. An opportunity now for Marr at centre half back. He was quiet in the opening half. He has blistering pace. He kicks to the centre. Gross is there again. Tackles seem to linger. Bazo goes in. Dispossessed once. Regathers. Tackled. The ball loose. Gee, the umpires have put the whistle away here in the second half as Grouse hoists it high to centre half forward.
Miller up over the top, gets the ball to the front of the pack, and now Subiaco have a chance to clear again as the ball comes wide to Godden. He had 18 disposals in the first half. In addition, took 3 marks. He's been run down by Maher. He'd want to be careful, but a good shepherd or sufficient shepherd comes from Shearer that allows Godden to kick the ball infield. Grigic goes off the ground. That gives Bazo a chance, charging at the ball, lost his footing at a crucial moment. That gives Parker an opportunity. Parker to Richardson, and Richardson from 30 metres out has kicked the first goal of the third quarter. Subiaco moved to 12-6. Peel are 4-4. And the margin is back out to 50 points.
Yes, and really Peel Thunder there just couldn't really afford. Bazo had the opportunity to get the ball, but just in tight quarters lost the ball, and Dan Parker did well to get the ball to Richardson, who scored a goal, and one that really Peel didn't want to concede. Peel, if they're going to get themselves back into the game, really need to get a run out of goals, and they just can't afford to let Subiaco run away with this game, and particularly score early goals in the third quarter, which could end up opening the floodgates.
Grigic opposed to Dan Parker. Grigic won it down. Ball is still loose in the middle. Headland tracking it towards the members' side of the ground. Gathered by McDonald in the end. A hand pass to Hampson. His hand pass to Shields. Tacking edge of the centre square. 1-on-1. Ridley up. Sport from behind by Barnden. Boyle gets it. Gets a hand pass away there towards Simister. He comes very wide. It'll pitch just inside the field of play. In fact, it doesn't. I thought it was going to drop in time, but it's out on the full. Shields to bring it back in. A player all on his own approaching the attacking 50. And the easy mark taken by Shearer. Craig Shearer cribbing infield a couple of metres. Now goes towards the lead of Ridley, and he takes it on his chest. Opportunity for him to snare goal number 8, which will be the best haul from a player from either team in what is now the 4th encounter between Subiaco and Peel. The record of 7 held by Todd Bremen. Ridley, who's travelled a bit in his football career, 48 AFL games with Essendon, then Fremantle, and concluded it with Hawthorn. Started with Claremont and is now with Subiaco. It's a bit like Jack Nicklaus, a lot of clubs. That one is across the face, and through 4 are behind. So Ridley now has 7 goals too. Subiaco moved to a 51-point lead.
Yes, his performance, Todd Ridley, in the 96 Grand Final was a very, very good one. One of the reasons Claremont was able to win that one, and I suppose that would be one of the thrills he'd remember in his a premiership with Claremont.
Peel endeavour to clear the ball from the danger zone, and there's a disputed mark out there, and Parker, who was marginally in front of his opponent, is awarded the mark. Godden unattended again. Gee, they're giving him a lot of room, and he's cutting them up as a result. This is Shearer on the end of Godden's foot pass. Godden with 18 possessions or disposals in the first half. Gorsey had 16. Hampson had 14. They were the best for Subiaco. Bazo had 15 for Peel, and Bolton had 14. They were the best of the Peel players. As Shearer kicks a goal, missed kicks as in his endeavours to get greater length. Socket off the ground by Ridley, but this time it's intercepted, and his luck has deserted him to some extent as the clearing kick goes towards the outer side of the ground. It's knocked away by Simpson, and there will be a boundary throw in on Subiaco's 50-metre line. There's been a bit of nostalgia surrounding that Subiaco premiership team from 1973 in recent weeks. Mick Malone, the subject of one of Glen's interviews at half-time today. It's 20 years ago last week that Mick Malone kicked 11 goals in a game against East Fremantle and turned the game when the Lions were behind at three-quarter time, and they got up to win that game. And he also ran a marathon recently, Mick Malone, which is not a bad effort for a fellow his age. As Shearer kicks on goal, it's across the face, and there will be a boundary throw in at left full forward. Particularly if you've seen Mick in recent years, Gary, there was a bit of him. There was a time actually when they were conducting whale watch tours down in his direction. But he's paid a fair amount of attention to his physical condition in recent months, and he did, as I said, run a marathon recently. As Shearer has another snap on goal, and again It's punched over the boundary line.
You'll keep, Walt. And I'm sure Mick's saying that right at home at the moment if he's watching the telly. You'll keep, Walt.
Very dangerous man to go to the beach with, just in case there was someone down there with a harpoon. Shearer snaps on goal and hits the post. Subiaco moved to 12-8. Peel are 4-4. But the other interesting thing about Mick Malone, he was a very talented all-round sportsman, and I know, you know, you saw a lot of him playing cricket at Scarborough, but I think he remains the last West Australian to have played 100 games of league football and to have taken 100 wickets in first-class cricket. So it's a fair indication of his all-round ability. As Shearer flies, taken by Headland at ground level. Players loose at half forward. The ball goes into Hampson. Hampson goes right across the face of the ground to Richardson. Now, I'm not sure about this. It may come off. It's not Richardson, it's Hardingham. He's been dispossessed by Bolton. And Bolton's perseverance and tenacity has been rewarded again. He's got the free kick at half-back.
So it's poor play by Hampson. He would have been better served just going long. Boyle with it now. Kicks towards the members' side. The mark to Grigich. The overlap courtesy of Bazo. Thumps it from 60 metres. Carmody back there. He's taken the mark. Well, Wammy describes him as a burly customer. On that occasion, Dale Carmody stood his ground. His stats aren't great. He's only had one other possession today. But on that occasion, he was too strong. And this should result in Peel's first goal of the second half. Directly in front, 25 metres out, and he makes no mistake.
Well, he's a big customer, Dale Carmody, there's no doubt about that. He was just a bit too strong in the contest there for Aaron Bester. But this is the best bit of play. They bring the ball through the corridor and they get the ball on quickly. And players running through the line. Here's Griggy off to Bazo, who's running through the line. And a good kick, get the ball quickly down to the forwards. There's the big fella. Just showing a bit of the girth there in the contest. But that was a good kick. And if they can do that and get it out down to him one-on-one with his strength and size, so long as the kick is going to favour him, he could be an awkward customer.
46 points the margin. So let's see what Peel can do here. If they can get 2 or 3 in a row and at least put some interest back into this game. Opportunity at ground level for Grouse. His hand pass was intercepted. It's knocked further afield by Subiaco, and O'Connor has the chance to run with the ball. Nathan O'Connor, in his 100th game for the Lions, kicks down towards half forward. Shearer outmanoeuvred on this occasion by Simister, and he takes a good mark. Spears the ball in towards the centre square, and Bazo. Davies down towards half forward, and he received a good lead there from Bustle, who's playing much further up the ground. He started at full back. Kicks high. Now that makes life pretty tough for your forwards. And that's a good mark taken by O'Connor. He came in across the face of the pack and was able to take the mark in front of much bigger players. Shields has the ball, Miller has the ball in the back pocket. Runs it across the defensive goal square. I'm not sure what he's going to do with it now that he's done all that. Yes, he has a player lurking in the shadows out there. Might have dropped the mark, but got it back to Godden, who wriggles his way out of a tackle. Bester has it. Hampson. Gee, they're running hard now. Shawcross. Miss kicks badly. Sinister again. Taking the interception, making the interception, and gets it to Barndon. Headland in battle with Ma, who was oblivious to the fact that Bird was swooping, and as a result he was taken out of the contest. Muleta wants the boundary line, and eventually he puts both O'Connor and the ball out of play.
Beware of the swooping Bird ball.
Boundary throw in at left half forward at the city end. The direction to which Subiaco are kicking. And Grigich just thumps it back over the line.
It was as good as I could do at this time of the day, Gary.
Yes, kids, you are on television. Grigich in front, wins it down. Quick kick forward by Davies. Bolton unable to gather. Trying to tap it along the ground was Grouse. It's near the boundary line now. Some players willingly join issue at ground level, and we will have a bounce. 80 playing 34. That's not a great bounce. Would have gone out of bounds of its own accord had it not been tapped over. There's Daniel Parker. Played 5 games this year for Fremantle, for 17 in total at AFL level. He's peeling back to play a kick behind the play. The ball thrown in. Grigic is there with Shearer. Grigic wins it down. Godden gets claimed. Hand pass goes to Grigic. Off to Bazo. One way, then the other. This is Bolton. One bounce. Hand pass infield. Retzlaff fumbled when he really needed to be very slick. A hand pass to Grouse, to Davies, to Bolton. So they're making heavy weather. Now the kick up towards Carmody, and he's taken it again. He just stuck the ample backside into Bester and then did a very good job. Shin guard being applied there by Dean Irving. It was a very good mark by Carmody. The arms fully extended out in front of the face. Opportunity for him to bag his second in the space of about 3 minutes. And he hasn't. That's a bad miss. There's a breeze blowing towards the opposite end, but he was well sheltered by the grandstands and should have done a lot better.
Yes, 35 metres out, or 30 metres out. I was probably a bit kind with 35 metres out. Good to see Travis Burton there in screen. Had a lot of problems in his time with injuries, etc., and had a year overseas, and good to see him back playing the game.
Terrific mark. Simpson was the player who brought the ball back in, looking for Irving. Irving goes on quickly. Short cross at right centre wing. He's got Grigic bearing down on him. Kick short, finds Shearer. Gee, these Subiaco forwards have been given an enormous amount of latitude this afternoon. Often 5 or 6 metres between them and their opponent. Makes marking a lot easier. And here's another example, although this time Muleta is able to spoil O'Connor. And I think that was more a result of O'Connor's lapse in concentration. Not a big crowd today, but a very attractive one.
And in fact, I think Travis Burton was working in Russia for those 12 months.
Yes, he was working in a mine in Russia, believe it or not, in a shift, and I think he had a pretty good time over there.
I thought you only got sentenced to those sort of things. Hampson sweeps the ball backward of the play to Godden. Here they go again, the Lions. Irving from 55 metres out. Ridley just clears him. And it's a behind to Subiaco. They move to 12-9, Peel 5-5. And I don't think Peter Thorne would be thrilled with Subiaco's performance to date. They've played well spasmodically.
In patches, really.
Yes, but 12 goals 9, given their share of the ball and the strength of the opposition, is probably not what he would have wanted, as Grigic kicks from the back pocket up towards centre wing. Godden on all fours. He's not able to break away with the ball. And there's going to be a bounce just ahead of the centre line with Subiaco in attack. 12-9-81 to Peel 5-5-35. Just over 16 minutes played in the third quarter. Irving runs into his opponent. This is Hanson. Gorsey. Davey being shepherded out. Was good cooperative play by Headland. And the Gorsey kick goes down towards half forward. And here's Shearer again. He's just moving backwards and forwards across the half forward line from one boundary line to the other. He really has worked hard. And he's found Shields deep in the left full forward pocket. He'll have to kick from about 45 metres out, Anthony Shields. It'll take a good kick from there. Not a lot of goal to shoot at. The breeze will bring the ball back towards the goal from right to left, his right to left. And it was never on target.
Now Stuart Anderson, who wouldn't have thrilled the Fremantle match committee today, hasn't had many possessions for a player of his standing. Played in the 1996 North Melbourne Premiership. He goes short into the pocket to Muleta, a hand pass back then to Anderson, who goes with a well-weighted kick which finds Bustle, but it was touched off hands by O'Connor in front. Bustle has to play on. He kicks it to Witherow, just back into the centre circle, up towards left half forward. Subiaco strong. The mark taken by Miller. Flares the Lions wide towards O'Connor, who drops to the knees to affect the chest mark. As Wally said, in his 100th game, Nathan O'Connor goes short, finds Shawcross. Charges infield. Shawcross towards centre half forward. Shields made a meal of that. Bolton the mark. Hand pass to Simister. Sidestep McDonald, tackled from behind, holding the ball. Bird tiptoed up on him.
Oh, look at the leads.
Yeah.
He was so many, he didn't know which one to take.
Well, he takes none or any of them. That one cleared short cross. Opportunity now for Bustle, who rides a heavy bump, then gets a hand pass to Withrow, who is swamped by Irving, and the ball will be bounced right on the attacking 50 for the Lions at centre-half forward.
Yes, well, so many loose Subiaco players, I think they confused themselves there.
Bolton, I think.
Yes, he's in the... No, it's
No,
not.
it's not. It's Withrow.
I think he's just a bit winded. I think he came off second best with a little collision there with the big fella Dean Irving. So I think you'll find he was just a little bit of wind taken out of him in this little bit of a collision. See if I am on the ball here.
Oh,
Yeah, I think just the wind out of him. Oh,
Bounce at centre-half forward for the Lions. Irving up, wins it down. Through goes Headland. Waits the hand pass into the path of Shields. Can shoot from 30 metres. He's hit the post. Now a full-time score from the twilight game at the MCG, and Essendon. Joy for Kevin Sheedy and the Bombers. A 38-point win over Melbourne, 18-14 to the Demons, 12-12. The other winners today, North Melbourne, the Western Bulldogs, and West Coast by 21 points over Geelong.
Anderson brings the ball in short. Finds Grouse in the back pocket. It's kick 2 this afternoon, Josh Grouse. Mcguinness with it now, but they're still in the back pocket. Now it's out of immediate danger. Oh, Bustle, that's a good mark up over the top of Irving, giving away a lot of height. Davies, not a good hand pass. Irving will turn it around. Hampson, Gorsey back through the traffic. Subiaco are falling for a Peel style of play at the moment. Now this is better, more decisive. Godden, and there are players 25 metres in the clear, one of whom is McDonald. Left foot towards full forward. Good mark, well judged. Nathan O'Connor kicks a goal in his 100th. His nickname's Bones. He was a very talented middle distance runner in his youth. Chose to go to football, and he's the sort of player that often plays better in the second half. He's got terrific endurance.
yes, a good player, Nathan O'Connor for Subiaco. Certainly in my time when I was at the helm there, he was certainly a hard-working player who had a couple of very good seasons for us, and you know, he's a player that will continue to work hard. He'll listen, he'll do what's asked of him, and he's been a marvellous performer for Subiaco.
Shields sitting down, Harding him on, and this doesn't look good here for Boyle. Not Boyle, it's Bustle coming off the ground, and Green is going on. Quite a bit of pain with that either right shoulder or right arm. Now Bazo with it in the middle. A hand pass to Truan. Throws it on the left boot. Goes wide to half forward. Taken by Gorsey, who plays on. He's got Shawcross. He's been busy, Shawcross, in this half. Gathers. Tries to burn off Truan. The tackle jarred the ball loose. He scoops it out towards Hardingham. Hardingham a hand pass well wide of Irving. This gives an opportunity for Peel. They get it from Bolton to Grigich. Off to Truan. Just forward of left centre wing. Left footer inside 50. Good mark in front by Dan Parker as Bustle heads towards the rooms with that damaged right shoulder. It's Godden. Goes very wide, and Shawcross on the end of the chest mark, just inside the chalk. Goes now up towards Shearer. Well done by Simister. Palmed the ball down and just ran out of ground. Yes. A bit of deliberation there by the boundary umpire. Took a while to make his decision, but the ball to be thrown in at left half back for Peel, who trail by an even 9 goals.
Shearer's played quite well against Simister today. I think he's got the honours in that particular duel.
He's worked pretty hard, hasn't he? As I mentioned a moment ago, he's covered a lot of ground. Irving sweeps the ball off the top of the pack. Hardingham was pulled off it, but it's taken by Bolton. Bolton's kick is not a good one. He's a much better player, more highly skilled player than that. It lands with Miller. Miller from just behind the centre line, chips out onto the wing. Here's Godden again, and look at the space Subiaco have got. McDonald, 65 metres from goal, puts it out in front of Ridley. He knocks it away from Davies and then taps it to the advantage of a teammate. And Subiaco Headland trying to take it away, taken by Simister, who kicks hurriedly into the centre square, but it's going to come back just as quickly. Bird to Hampson. Hampson across to centre half forward. I'm not sure of the wisdom of that. It's very smart thinking, in fact. Hardingham taking the mark. Short kick is taken. Who was that? Miller, was it? Right down the ground. It's hit the post, and there's Simister in a lot of trouble. Scott Simister, and that's an injury that Peel can ill afford.
It's like an ankle, holding his ankle down there, so
He's
must
in
have
a fair
rolled
bit
an
of
ankle.
pain, yes. Most experienced defender in the Peel lineup, coming across from West Adelaide originally. And there's Scott Simister going off in a fair amount of pain. The ball is with Barnden between right half back and right centre wing for Peel. He kicks towards the wing. Bazo not able to take the mark, spoiled by Miller. And there's going to be a boundary throw in left centre wing for the Lions. And they lead 13-12-90 to 5-5-35.
Just going to hold play up here for a moment because Simister's actually going to cut across between the boundary umpire and the ruckman, keeping that right foot elevated off the turf. So a bad blow for Peel and for Scott Simister. Phil Gilbert, the skipper, is coming on to replace him. Play restarts, the boundary throw in. Irving palmed it down beautifully with the left hand, trying to run onto it. Headland, he's going in the wrong direction. Hand pass to Miller. Gilbert's fired up, having come off the bench, lays a good tackle. Ball loose, Bolton gets it. Hand pass to Grouse. He loses it. Going in now is Green. A hand pass to Bolton. Sweeps one to True, and he's on his favoured left side. He's pulled it back far too severely, though, and through for a behind.
He's very good in close quarters, is Bolton. He knows he's got quick reflexes and works the ball very well, as we see more of the crowd there enjoying the sunshine.
I wouldn't mind seeing Bolton in a better side.
Simpson into the outer back pocket. Taken by Gorsey, a quick left footer, high, the best of the mark, near centre half back. Bester floats an awkward one across the half back line. Bounce has gone straight through the legs of Miller. Looked like the Newcastle goalkeeper last week in the FA Cup when Arsenal scored their first goal. Miller, a hand pass out to Godden, to Shawcross, who intelligently tumbles a hand pass to Gorsey, whose hand pass went wide of his opponent. Backed up by Shawcross, left footer to attacking 50, to half forward, well short of the attacking 50 as Headland goes wide and Shearer takes the mark. He goes short to centre half forward, and the mark to Godden. Rod Willett, you got a report on that in last couple of injuries.
Yes, thanks very much, Glenn. Just more problems for Peel Thunder at the moment as they lost Scott Simister, and at the moment there is nobody to go back on, so they're trying to strap his ankle up, and we'll see what happens from here.
And Peel going from bad to worse today. Their luck is ebbing away as McDonald drops the mark. Bolton does well. A hand pass to Griggett, who wants to go for a run. Just backward of the centre line. Kicks up towards Gilbert. At the back, Bester. Quick kick wide. If he can stay in, Subiaco are a chance. Yes, Miller did well. Boundary umpire was right on the spot, looking straight down the line. Miller, after a bounce, ships it downfield, and the mark is taken by Jared Shawcross.
He plays on quickly to Godden. Godden from the long side, the centre square towards Ridley at full forward. He got caught under it. O'Connor at the back couldn't quite take the mark. Another opportunity for Subiaco as the ball spills free to Hampson. Hurriedly down towards the goal square. Back goes Shearer. Bounce is crucial here. Fife chooses to keep it in. Works it across the goal square. He goes looking for Anderson. He wouldn't want to be too casual here. He was confronted by Ridley. Cleverly done. High risk element, but he got away with it. Bazo has got support alongside him. Retzlaff down towards half forward. True and up. Wasn't able to take the mark. Chance for Subiaco now to rebound. Parker, ground level. Hand pass was poor, very poor. Retzlaff again. Infield come Peel, but they've turned it over. Given the ball away. As Subiaco regain control. Hardingham's hand pass. This is a shocking passage of play by both teams. And eventually a short kick from Hampson finds its mark. Headland at right centre wing. Kicks high towards the 50-metre line. And the ball comes off hands and goes out of play. Scott Simister doesn't look as though he's going to come straight back on.
I don't think so.
He's got a big ice pack on that leg, on that ankle, as you can see. Throw in is about 55 metres out from Subiaco's goal. Peel had the numbers, but they were bulldozed out of the contest. Bird hooks it towards full forward, and the mark was taken after the siren. So at three-quarter time, Subiaco are 13-12-90, Peel 5-6-36. A lacklustre quarter in which Subiaco added 2 goals and Peel added 1.
And Todd Ridley hasn't added. He has 7 goals at three-quarter time, as he did at half-time. Well, a disappointing performance today by Peel, and as we've mentioned throughout the commentary, Gary, I wouldn't imagine that that really Peter Thorne would be overly enamoured with his team's performance. We said Ridley has 7 goals and Grouse the only multiple goal scorer for Peel, but really Subiaco, for the number of times that you just look down on the ground and see Subiaco players operating with 15 metres of space, they really haven't got the result on the scoreboard. 13 goals, 12.
Well, they didn't. Tony Godden and Jared Shawcross were players that just had so much of the ball in the midfield, and there was just Subiaco players everywhere you looked up, but Subiaco just didn't use the ball very well, and I'm sure Peter Thorne wouldn't be happy with their use of the ball in that particular quarter, because they really could have opened this game up into a huge margin, but just a lack of probably direction out there, and just overusing the football, maybe just lairising a little bit on occasions with the footy because of the lack of pressure out there from the Peel Thunder players. So I'm sure Thorny is addressing that area, and you hear him, and he's not very happy at all.
He's kicked 7 in the first half.
Well, I think, yeah, that gives you a little bit of an insight. Good little bit of TV there. You see,
might need a
Peter
dump
Thorne
button there, I think, Gary.
Yeah, well, he's not. I think it could have been dangerous TV in the end too. Being in that situation myself, when you get very upset, Subiaco could have really kicked another 6 or 7 goals in that quarter, and really this game sort of going through the motions really in that third quarter. Not a lot of great highlights for either side. Just the ball seemed to be chipping the ball around and just finding space, but nothing really eventuating in that quarter.
Well, don't forget our game day ball competition. Congratulations to Alan Cook. As we said at half-time, Alan is actually the father of Troy Cook, who's now playing with the Sydney Swans, a player who won, or was a runner-up in the Sandover medal a few years ago. John Dimmer was the correct answer to last week's question, the current Westar coach who played in Subiaco's 1973 Premiership side. The question you need to answer to win today's game day ball is which team is last year's Sandover medalist now playing with, and the clue is it's a club in the AFL, so you've got a choice of 16. 1900 999 220, 1900 999 220, and you need to ring before 5 p.m. on Monday. And there is the game day ball. And at this stage, Subiaco has seen a lot more of it than Peel. They lead by 9 goals at three-quarter time. In actual fact, we'll be seeing the Lions again next weekend, and this should be an interesting encounter on Saturday, a split round. The Foundation Day weekend will be at Tigerland, Claremont and Subiaco live from 2 o'clock on Saturday, and then the traditional Foundation Day Perth Derby. And it's East Perth taking on West Perth on Monday afternoon. Well, the statistical information, and not surprisingly, the stats are pretty well in favour today, Gary, of Subiaco over Peel in almost all the areas that count.
Well, look at that through the kicks, through the marks, nearly double the amount of marks that Peel, and that just goes to show far too many Subiaco players are finding space. They're chipping the ball around, and really that's a reflection of the lack of accountability by the Peel Thunder players, particularly around that midfield area that you've heard me harping on. Handballs, obviously when you control the ball, you're able to fire out more handballs to players running past. And really there the hit-outs reasonably even. Grigic trying hard, but really Jeff Miles there just wondering what he can do with this side, and you know, trying to get a combination that's going to be competitive from one week to the next. We saw them last week, very good against Claremont, but this week pretty undisciplined really, and I'm sure that's the disappointing factor of being involved with Peel, is just that inconsistency they have.
Three-quarter time scores at the other 3 venues. Perth by 18 points over Swan Districts, 10-7 to 7-7. East Perth and Claremont, a tight battle, a goal in it East Perth's way, 8-10 to 8-4, and West Perth by 19 points over South Fremantle, 10-9 to 8-2. And Peter Thorne is down on the boundary, the Subiaco coach, with Rod Willett.
Peter, you weren't very happy with your players, too much overuse of the ball.
An understatement, Sprinter, that we probably had 200 possessions up till half time, and I don't know what we had in that quarter, but we would have just wasted it constantly. We've kicked 2 goals, 6 in a quarter that the ball's hardly gone defensively, and when it has, they've capitalised on it. Particularly frustrating.
Todd Ridley's certainly taken up the place of Todd Bremen.
Yeah, I mean, Todd's been terrific. The fact that at ground level he gives such a second, third effort, it's just not a matter of kicking to a target who doesn't move and recover it when it hits the ground, as I said. No, he's been terrific.
Thanks very much, Peter.
Thanks,
So Peter Thorne talking to Rod Willett as the final quarter gets underway here at Subiaco. Opportunity for Peel to clear off the half-back line, and Grouse takes the mark in the centre square. We're just bearing out Peter Thorne's comments in terms of the number of disposals that the teams had, or possessions. Godden's had 29 to three-quarter time, 16 kicks and 13 hand passes. Big leaper there was Fife. Unfortunately, he came down without the ball. Gorsey has had 26. Sorry, no, he hasn't. He's had 21. Hampson had 23. And Shearer has had 18. So they're just some of the leading possession getters as far as Subiaco is concerned during that first three quarters. And then Bazo has had 23 for Peel. Boyle has had 16. And Gross has also had 16. Bolton's had 23, 9 kicks and 14 hand passes. So they've certainly dominated play, Subiaco, as the kick goes in towards full forward. Shearer up at the back. Peel with the numbers at the back, and it's Barndon who brings it away. He needs a good kick here, and it was good. It's found Anderson. He's in that left full-back pocket as he goes up towards the half-back line. Lewin used his body well to get rid of Miller, and that allows Davey to run onto the ball, but there is about a hectare of vacant territory in front of him. He really just didn't have anyone to kick it to. Eventually kicked to a contest. Gilbert's hand pass to Bolton, cleverly done by Bolton, but Gilbert waited for the ball and as a result got a difficult bounce, and as you saw was forced to hand pass under pressure and out of play for a throw-in on Peel's 50-metre line. There's Phil Gilbert. Spent a bit of time on the bench today. Throw in about 52 metres out from Peel's goal. They trail by 54 points. Green opposing Irving at the boundary throw-in. Irving with front position and a height advantage. It's Bolton again by hand to Trewin. Trewin towards full forward. Carmody using his strength against a smaller opponent down there in Vesta, but to no avail. And there's going to be a boundary throw-in at left full forward.
Interesting, Glen. Phil Gilbert has a moustache.
There you go. If he ever makes a comeback.
There was a trivia question last night in the AFL. One player, they believe, has a moustache.
Gavin Mitchell. Throw in alongside the left hand behind post with Peel in attack. Carmody trying to get boot to ball. And there's going to be a bounce in the same position. Magnificent conditions for football this afternoon. Barely a cloud in the sky. And Subiaco making the most of them. They lead by 54 points. Another bounce in that left full forward pocket. Almost clean possession to Gilbert. Did the hard work and then had the ball knocked out of his hands. And it's cleared back towards half-back, but lands with Retzlaff, who took a long time to get the kick, but it's effective in towards full forward. Green claiming the mark, and he has been paid. Parker is disputing that. He's arguing that he touched it first, but the umpire disagrees with him. And
yeah,
so
I think Green might have had equally even first touch. Or gee whiz, I think you might have shared that around.
Yeah, I think that was a team mark.
The ball didn't touch the ground.
Team mark as Green kicks at goal, and he's converted. So Peel get the first goal of the last quarter, but they've got a lot of work to do. It's 13-12 to 6-6.
They've got a lot of work to do, but they can certainly make things look a bit better on the scoreboard and a bit more respectable if they dig deep here and just start to work a lot harder than they have in the previous three quarters. And I'm sure that's what Jeff Miles would have asked for, really, with his team in this position at three-quarter time. He just would have asked for the team to... I think he stole that one in the end, Green. I think three players might have been in that, but he was the one with it in the end.
I think it was a case of mistaken identity.
It might have been, yes, but still, Peel have got the goal.
Ball back in the middle of Subiaco Oval. A high up and under by Grigic. Irving leaning over, couldn't mark, but does very well. The big man, beautiful skills. The hand pass not equal to the previous work. Intercepted by Bolton. Off by hand to Anderson. A left footer inside 50. Awkward bounce, but coming out and trapping the ball well was Carmody. Gets a hand pass back to Retzlaff. He goes back, it clears Bolton, allows Subi in. Miller gets it, a hand pass to Richardson. If the ball sits, he's in business. It does. He goes wide towards the outer wing, and the mark is taken by Headland. Des Headland runs infield, kicks down ground, looking for Shearer. Went up with one hand. Fife was there, and the ball has gone out of bounds. Interestingly, today, Clayton Fife has been used at both ends of the ground by Jeff Miles. He was a full forward on debut last week at Rushton Park. Shearer and Grigich. Grigich a lot taller. The ball, though, goes wide of him. Gathered on the bounce by Davies. Quick kick across the outer wing. Picked up by Green. A hand pass off into a teammate who gets the quick kick forward. And a whistle has sounded, and Truan has got the free kick. Tackled high. It was Boyle that kicked the ball forward. Walking wounded today. Bustle, sinister, serious injuries for Peel off the ground. Truan kicks high towards full forward, and he's taken the mark, Carmody. Plays on by hand. No, the umpire's blown time on as Josh Gross was about to kick his third. Well, when the ball's delivered well and Carmody has position, he's a player in the mould of Tony Lockett. He's a bit hard to dislodge when he's underneath the falling ball.
Not the leading full forward, is he? He's the type that you need to get one out and get the ball quickly to him in a one-out duel, give the ball a bit of air and let him use his bulk and judgment.
Ooh. Just cleared the man on the mark. Just cleared the man on the goal line.
Bester claims he touched it.
Yes, the man on the mark.
I wouldn't be surprised. The ball seemed to just hold up a little bit after he kicked it, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did get a little bit of a touch on the ball there. But good piece of body work there, just a little bit too strong, was able to hold his ground. Here's a kick, see if we can pick it up. No. I think Aaron was trying to fool the people there, but I think that one well and truly cleared Aaron Bester.
Like a few batsmen who claim they didn't touch it.
It was a Western Bulldog, it might have broken one of their nails.
13-12 to 7-6. Subiaco lead Peel Thunder. So far in this term, Peel have kicked 2 goals and Subiaco haven't kicked any.
And that'll be a good clash next week, Western Bulldogs and the Eagles.
Be a tough one.
Eagles win that, they'll be batting 50-50, 5-5.
Spare a thought for the Dockers who go to Victoria Park. As it's palmed down by Grigich, but taken by Godden towards half forward. Oh, misunderstanding has given Subiaco an opening here. But Boyle comes away with the ball. Chips it out towards the wing. And Retzlaff takes the mark. Now, Retzlaff needs to dispose of the ball more effectively than he has been. Kicks in towards Grigich. That was a better kick, and it's given Grigich a fair chance to knock this to the advantage of his team. Subiaco trying to break it up off half-back. Gorsey soccering it to Bird. Back to Gorsey, to Irving. Well done by the big fellow. And he has Simpson loose on centre wing, but that wasn't a good kick. Retzlaff is cornered, gives it across to Boyle, who is surrounded. And there'll be a bounce on left centre wing for Peel. I mentioned earlier that they're good conditions for football. They would have been ideal conditions today for the PSA Track and Field Carnival, which is being held in May, which defies all logic. There's no resemblance to the rest of the track and field calendar. Palm down by Irving, straight to Simpson. In towards centre half forward for Subiaco. Here's Travis Burton, he was well trapped. Knocked away by Shearer to O'Connor. O'Connor looks for other options, saw there were none, goes on goal and misses to the right. 13-13 to 7-6. Yes, the PSA, one of the great talent programs for the sport of track and field over the years. Herb Elliott, John Winter, Olympic gold medalists, Keith Wheeler. But now the carnival held in May when the rest of the season is held in the summer. Really is an extraordinary decision as Barnden brings the ball in. Looking for Witherow. Bird's too tall. O'Connor has it. Could this be his second? No. Across the face of goal. Subiaco peppering the goal at the western end. But as yet they haven't kicked one in the final term. It's 13-14 to 7-6 and we've played just over 9 minutes in the final quarter.
Subiaco 6 goals in the opening quarter, and here we are in the last. They only have 13 alongside their name. Barnden short into the outer back pocket, and Davies a little left footer. Bazo up, it clears him. Peel, not a good attempt to clear. Richardson throws it on the left boot in the true sense of the terminology. Boyle gets it, heads for the line, 2 bounces, and we'll have a throw in.
poor options down there. When in doubt, don't chip it to a 50-50 contest. Kick the ball long around the boundary line, defend around there when it's in the opposition's half.
Ball in, one down by Barnden, down the throat of Bazo, who had no one really to hand pass to, so the ball has gone over the line once again.
In that defensive, that wasn't a bad play by Bazo. At least he took the ball to the boundary line side. Don't bring the ball back into the corridor in that instance if you've got no one to give it to you. If you're under pressure, just play the boundary.
Irving palms it down for Subiaco. Socket along by Davies, who does well. The blind spin, gives it off to Boyle, who's on the burst. Doesn't sound very healthy. Kick towards centre half forward, and the mark in front has been paid to Marr.
I'm glad his Christian name's not Lance.
Hand pass off then to Barnden, who's well down ground. Kicks it up to full forward. In fact, the kick down ground was by Anderson, not by Barnden. It's gone through for a behind. But Peel, at the moment, are doing more scoring in this quarter. They have added 2 goals, 1. Subiaco 2 behinds. We're 11 minutes in. There's Subi inbound to the outer side. Bolton's got a few to beat when the ball hits the ground, but luckily for him and his team, the ball breaks sharply and goes over the line for a throw-in.
Had a good contest there, Bolton. Put his body on the line, back into the pack there, and just got a hand on it. And a good play. They're just working a bit harder at the moment, Peel.
Throwing it right half forward for Peel. Chance for Subiaco to bring it away off the half back line. O'Connor is the target. Retzlaff is with him, and Retzlaff, outnumbered, needed to hold his footing. He wasn't able to do that. Parker got around Green too easily. The kicker's found O'Connor. I'm not sure that he was the intended target, but it's come off. O'Connor towards centre wing, and Shawcross playing with the hair tied back today takes a comfortable mark, and Shearer in turn takes a good mark on the boundary line at right half forward. They're really tracking the boundary line. Long way home, Subiaco. In towards centre half forward. Here's O'Connor running hard again. He'll be disappointed that he dropped that mark. But we saw him in a passage of play almost back at half back just a moment or two ago. And there he had the opportunity to mark and shoot on goal up in the forward line.
I think just the hard run that he ran to that position. I think he did all the hard work and then just dropped the ball at the end. Probably just a little bit tired from the hard run.
Irving and Grigic, and up over the top was Travis Burton. Here's Bolton again. Prolific possession getter this afternoon to Anderson, who goes to the boundary line on the outer side of the ground, and there'll be a throw in about 55 metres out from Subiaco's goal. 13-14, 92 to 7-7, 49. Boundary throw in, left half forward for Subiaco. The ball's not going anywhere. The umpire elects to bounce it down.
Umpires Cole, Repper and Petrie this afternoon. Done a pretty good job. Irving and Grigic. Irving wins it down. Bolton soccers it off the ground, gets it into the centre square. Players converge from different points of the compass. Green gets there first. Squeezes a hand pass out to Grigic, who kicks to half forward. Marr has been a shadow of what he was last week against Claremont, and he doesn't keep the ball in play on that occasion, being harassed from behind by Gorsey.
He's made a better contest in that particular. I've been watching him today. He's only had the one effort at the footy. If he gets beaten the first time, he then just doesn't have any second or third effort. But at least then he had a second effort to try and get back onto the ball.
Green and Irving. Green wins it down. Just dubious disposal by Truan. Ends up with Grouse. Comes back to him. The whistle sounds and the ball will come back. It'll be a free kick to Brendan Retzlaff, who was retarded by Daniel Parker.
Parker's holding his face too. I didn't see what happened. They must have collided.
Retzlaff casually goes down the corridor, and Green all on his own takes the mark as Richardson comes off for Subiaco to be replaced by Shields. Well, Subiaco really have failed to inspire since quarter time when they led 6-5 to 1-1. They have controlled general play, although Peel perhaps have squared the ledger in general terms in this last quarter. That's a very unattractive kick, but it's floated through for a goal. Untouched. Did go through within reach of some defenders, but unable to touch it. Subiaco and Peel get their 8th goal.
Yes, well, that's not the greatest kick that you'll see off the thing, but I suppose it's not how, it's how you kick it, it's how the end result is, and that's a case of that one, I think.
I think it was a slow ball.
Yeah, well, I think that's right. I think he held it back well. Just decided to hold the ball back on the kick and just fooled everybody with that slow delivery off the boot.
Deceived them all.
Yes, and they've got 6 points, and well, they're at least working a lot harder in this quarter, Peel, and if they had had this work rate in the first 3 quarters, they'd be probably somewhere thereabouts.
Here's O'Connor on the end of a chain of hand passes. He's just inside 50. Will this be his second goal? It is. So Subiaco finally get their first goal in the final term. They've been outscored 3-0 to this point, but O'Connor has rectified that situation, and Subiaco moved to 14-14. Peel are 8-7, and that's at the 15.5-minute mark of the final quarter.
He's had a good 100th game, O'Connor. He's a tireless worker, hard worker, and that's out of the middle of the ground. The way you like to do it, get the ball out of the middle and work the ball quickly forward. And O'Connor summed it up pretty well there. He had leads. He could have tried to spear a pass into the Shearer, who was leading out of the goal square, but there was an open goal square and he chose the right option. 43
points is the margin. Subiaco with a chance to go forward again. Headland's kick is well inside 50. No mark. Taken off hands by Anderson. Chips it wide towards Barnden. He needed to take that mark. That's given Headland another chance. He's at left half forward. Clever kick to Ridley, and he trapped it well. Not too many options. Comes infield looking for Burton. Takes it off Bolton. Burton had a player loose. That was O'Connor. 15 metres in the clear. He had about 30 seconds to pick it up. Shoot it, goal. And he really should have done a lot better than that, Nathan O'Connor. He'll be very disappointed with that kick, as players are going down with cramp all over the field. McDonald is hobbling. There's a Peel player down. I think it might be Bolton.
Mcguinness, I think.
Mcguinness it is, yes, at centre half back. Anderson to his own advantage out of the goal square. Steps around McDonald, one bounce. Yes, so he comes very wide. Barnden, good mark in front of Travis Burton. Wayne Barnden, formerly with East Fremantle. Quiet day statistically. Coming in for disposal, number 6. Chips it over the man on the mark. That's not a good option. Retzlaff was always going to be scored from behind. It was easy for Simpson to pick that one off, and we'll have a throw in. Adjacent to the player interchange area on the members' side, Bazo and Parker, gathered by Boyle, who hooks it around the corner and gains about 25 metres in territory. So it's getting closer to the true wing position. Green wins it down. Shields a hand pass to Gotten. Tackled by Davey. Ball loose. Bazo just gets his foot to it in the nick of time. Grgic comes out. Great skills by a big man. Gathered it at shin height. Eluded a couple of tackles. Good peripheral vision. Finds Bolton. He draws him out in Stengline. Gilbert should goal, and he has. Peel get their 4th goal of the final quarter. And Subiaco would not be happy with this performance, as we said, since quarter time.
Yes, that's a good bit of play, but look at the work of Grgic here. Got around 2 or 3 Subiaco players, then had vision. See the way he looked out the corner of his eye? What a kick to Bolton. Bolton didn't have to change strides. They were able to set up the loose man, and that's a very good play by Ilya Grgic to really set that up. And a good example there of vision. Getting the ball, having a look around, summing up the options, and then kicking the ball perfectly to a running player. When you kick to a running player, put the ball out in front of him so he can run onto the ball. On that occasion, the kick was, as you say, centimetre perfect.
It's always a problem when you've got to stop and change your strides. 38 points the margin. Bazo sends Peel forward again. Gorsey coming across. Collides heavily with Gilbert. Former Claremont teammates, I suspect. There was a relayed free kick against Gilbert. And O'Connor puts it up towards half forward. Shields. Good overhead, just as his dad was. Anthony Shields from ahead of the centre line. Kicks down towards full forward. But Shearer was badly outnumbered there, and it's Anderson who takes the mark. Oh, silly football! Works out all right. Retzlaff taking the mark, wedged between two Subiaco players. Grouse is loose on the half-back line. He takes the mark. They're taking a long time to get it out of danger. But eventually Grouse finds Grigic at centre wing. Now, the player has come well over the mark, and he's being brought back now. Grigic into the centre square, where Witherow was unattended. They've come straight back from where they started. Mcguinness has it. He puts it out in front of Davies. Can't quite get there to take the mark, but getting fingers on the ball meant that it would bounce kindly, and in turn he's found Maher, who takes the mark 45 metres out from goal. Been a lean day today for Kelvin Maher, but he takes the man on the mark on. That's Gorsey, and kicks that goal and kicks the goal. So Peel moved to 10-7, and I suspect that's their best score ever against Subiaco. Yes, easily. And Subiaco are 14-15.
Well, they worked the ball around pretty well, Peel, here. They changed direction. They didn't really have a lot of options, but not a bad kick by Mcguinness here to put the ball in front of Davies. And Davies does well to spot the player. He looks up once again, sums up the options, and he really had to be precise with that kick on his left foot. He was, and Maher really decided to take the player on, try and gain that extra 4 or 5 metres that he needed to kick that goal. And in the end, it was good play all round by Peel. Good use of the ball.
Centre bounce, Grigic wins it with a backhander. The ball flicked out by Daniel Parker. Forward they go again. Mcguinness kicks to the wide open territory at left half forward for Peel. The ball continues to roll. Miller knocks it towards the boundary line, and it will go over. When we look at last season, the 3 encounters, Subiaco won each of them by 147 points, 100 and 107. So Peel averaged 118-point losses last year, and here they are trailing by just 32. So it's a quantum leap from those statistics. In front, Green, clean possession, then almost dropped it at his feet off the outside of the boot there, and the mark has been taken by Retzlaff. Left foot, deep to full forward. Maher is far too short in that contest. Subiaco get it towards the line. He's got some toe. Even late in the game, the boundary line just beat him. Gee, blistering acceleration, Kelvin Maher, although you see him here, he just see the ball go out of bounds. Umpire was right on the spot. Green wins it over the back. Kicked away though by Subiaco back towards the members' side, and Bird can't keep it in play. So in this quarter they've kicked 5 goals, 1 Peel. Subiaco in the opening 22.5 minutes have kicked just 1 goal, 3. Players that are going to wake up sore tomorrow. Davies, a hand pass, and dives back in on top of his own possession, and will have a bounce between left centre wing and left half forward for Peel. And you see the margin, 32 points after Subiaco led by 34 at quarter time.
Grigic and Parker doing the ruck work. It's taken away by Shields for Subiaco. He kicks in towards half forward. Ridley, who's been held goalless since half-time. He had 7 to that point. Picked up by O'Connor. Richardson gets it across to Headland, and then he kicks high towards Shearer at full forward. He's spoilt from behind by Fife, close to the goal line back there, and Maletta runs it over. On the behind to Subiaco, they're 14-16. Peel are 10-7. Yes, if you use Peel's performances against Subiaco here today as some margin of their, or some measure of their progress, you would have to say they are making progress. As Glen pointed out, an average losing margin last year to this team of something like 118 points. And at the moment, they're well inside that. And their highest score previously against Subiaco was a total of 47 points. So they're 20 points in advance of that. As the Parker kick goes in towards half forward. And there's going to be a bounce.
Yes, they're just not putting it together for 4 quarters at any one time, are they? Well, Peel, they're certainly a little bit more competitive than they were, particularly in their first season. If they can just learn to put these bits of play together that we're just seeing in the last part of the third quarter and into this quarter, they'll be far more competitive.
24 minutes played. Headland with a shot on goal. He's pulled it too far. 14-17 to 10-7. The margin 34 points.
exciting young talent, I think, Des Headland. I don't think WA people will see a lot of him in the Westar rules level. I think he'll be snapped up pretty quickly in AFL levels.
Anderson, the members' back pocket in Grouse, who has been one of Peel's better players again today. Has 2 of their goals. Barndon, the ball arrives just in the nick of time with Simpson bearing down.
I don't know the value of these little chip kicks around in that particular area.
Barndon wide towards the boundary line. The target is Green and he doesn't let him down. Good mark by Shane Green. No, free kick. It's going the other way to Travis Burton. Umpire signal over the shoulder. I'm not too sure who the player was that got Travis Burton over the shoulder. Burton floats it awkwardly to the attacking 50. The mark dropped by Barton in defence. Anderson there, the hand pass over the head of Mcguinness. Tracks the ball in the wrong direction. Shawcross tackles him. Subiaco desperate to try and create something. Mcguinness looking for the line, although in the end he's helped out by Bolton, who goes short. This time Barton doesn't drop it. Hand pass to Davies, who was confronted immediately. Gives it off to Boyle. He goes back dangerously towards the centre corridor, but the mark to Bolton. He plays on, awkward-looking kicking style, and you hear the groan from Gary Buckenara. It landed with Parker, who was all alone, and that's a shocking kick as well. Simpson did well to keep the ball inside the field of play. He hugs the boundary line, and that's a fairly forgettable passage of play as it goes over the line wide of Todd Ridley.
Terrible errors from both sides there.
Despite that last kick, Gary, Bolton's been a shining light for Peel, hasn't he?
Oh, he's a good little player. He's got good little reflexes, and he works hard, particularly in the confined areas. He's pretty clever at getting out of trouble. I'd just like to see him with a little bit more polish on his disposal.
He'd had 23 disposals till 3/4 time in a team which to that point had not had a great deal of the ball. They've been a lot more competitive in this quarter, as we've mentioned. They've actually kicked 5 goals to Subiaco's 1. Ridley up very high. Richardson not able to take it away, and here's Bolton again. He's overrun the ball this time. Hampson is in there, gets it out to Simpson. Godden has it again. He's also had an outstanding day today. That's a good sign for the Dockers. And there's O'Connor, camped in the pocket, running the game out. And Ridley short will get a chance to add to his goal tally late in the game.
Not sure if the audience can pick it up, but there's one man in the crowd that every time Subiaco gets, you can hear him. All he yells all the time is long into the square.
He is the crowd.
It's my brother. It is.
Seriously.
Yeah, he's down, he's a Subi property man.
What does he do? Just bring a tape recording with him each week?
He thinks Gary's still in the square.
Long into the square.
What number did you wear when you were playing for Subi?
Tony Godden's number, 7.
Right. As Ridley lines up from 45 metres out. Oh, heavens. Well, when he had 7 at half-time, I thought that his tally this afternoon could be anything. The short kick in has found... No, it hasn't. Should have found Grouse. Shawcross taking it out. 28 minutes played, but that wasn't a good kick from Todd Ridley. I think it's so long since he's had the ball, he's lost form.
I'll have to put a silencer on him, I think.
Yeah. There's Ridley again. Could this be his 8th? No. Shearer takes the mark. 2 or 3 metres out. A youthful-looking Craig Shearer. He's done pretty well in terms of possessions also. 19, in fact. And Shearer is lining up for what will be his first goal of the afternoon. Kicks from about 11 metres out and puts it through. So Subiaco are 15-17, Peel at 10-7. The margin is 40 points.
Yes, well, on that occasion, brother Greg got it right, long into the square, and Shearer was able to be one out, and he took the mark. So yeah, he was pretty right after all that time, trying to get the players to do that. But yes, I don't think Peter Thorne would be too happy with the end result. Subiaco's performance has been a little lacklustre. I think with having so much of the ball early, I think they were lulled into a sense of overusing the footy, and that's got them into trouble really, and they haven't been able to finish off very well at all. But credit to Peel, they've fought their way back into this last quarter.
Well, interestingly, since quarter time, it's been 9 goals apiece. O'Connor with the ball for Subiaco. Crosses over the centre line. kicks up towards Ridley, who's been infringed, a push in the back. Varden's saying that's not really the case, but he has got the free kick, Ridley. It's an interesting option. He's gone right across into the left full forward pocket. The ball's still outside 50 when it's gathered by Shearer, who gets tackled. His hand pass up in the air, gathered by Boyle. Short to centre half back. Good work though done by Bird, who came in to take the mark. Oh, Bird comes across the ground. It's a game that hasn't been at the greatest skill level. Godden off to O'Connor, who goes up looking for Ridley, coming across in front, true, and O'Connor crosses bows, tapped the ball down. Gee, your brother's loud. The kick back downfield. Godden gets it. A hand pass off to Hampson. Long to the square. Hampson goes in that direction, and a good mark taken by Shearer.
We'll have to remember next time we come here not to give him his own microphone. I wouldn't have owned up to the fact that it's your brother.
I wish I hadn't. Oh, goodness me.
So Craig Shearer, a chance to kick his Foghorn
He went long
Leghorn.
into the square, though.
Shearer for his second, in fact. In he goes to the Subiaco end. Touch and go. I think he's put it through. He has. Subiaco get their 16th.
Well, certainly Craig Shearer, I think he'd be pretty happy with his performance today. He worked pretty hard at centre-half forward. I thought he had the better of Simister, and he's continued to provide an option at least, and a good pair of hands there, good leap, and kept his eye on the ball all the time, and that's certainly a good effort there as we see a Subiaco player. Looks like Davies, who initially came off the ground in that first quarter with an ankle injury, and looks like that's progressed to being a little bit worse, where he's ended up on crutches.
46 points the margin. He wouldn't have been much good at Chinese whispers, your brother, would he? The kick goes down towards half forward for Peel, taken by Retzlaff. There's the siren as the ball went into Marr in the pocket. And the final score here at Subiaco Oval, Subiaco 16-17, 113, have defeated Peel Thunder 10-7, 67. The final margin 46 points in favour of the Lions.
Yes, although as we said, it wasn't all that an impressive a performance by Subiaco, because they led by 34 points, 6 goals to 1 in the opening quarter, and in the final 3 quarters they kicked 10 goals to Peel's 9, and they've lost their average, or their 3 previous matches against Subiaco by an average of 118 points. Going down by 46 today, we see Phil Gilbert. An improvement, Gary, but still a lot of work to do for Thunder. And Subiaco, well, they got to the line, but not impressive.
Well, I think so. I think in the end of the day, I don't think Peter Thorne would be all that convinced with that performance. They just lairised a bit with the ball, overused the ball, and in the end, I don't think he'd be very pleased with that performance. And Peel a little bit better.
And thanks very much for joining us today at League Headquarters. Subiaco home by 46 points, 16-17 to 10-7.